Recall of over 110 Lexus vehicles today. The recall affects some of the brand's models, which were distributed between the 13th of March 2025 and the 16th of January 2026. The Commission says the decision was taken due to faults in the car's automatic transmission systems. Spokesperson Peton Taba warns that the faults could potentially lead to accidents or ignite a fire in the engine.
The reason for the recall of the LX500D F-Sport and LX500D Overtrail is a faulty solenoid, which is a component that controls gear shifts. Now, this could actually lead to the transmission and the damage of the transmission, and the loss of motive power while driving at higher speeds.
She has urged affected owners to visit authorized Lexus dealerships for reprogramming.
We say to consumers, do take the vehicles back for them to inspect and repair their defect. They say if certain damage occurs to the transmission housing, there's a high possibility of transmission fluid to leak from the housing. This actually could increase the risk of crash. Do heed the call and take the vehicle back to their supplier.
Top cop Fani Nkosi has denied he was the officer who tipped off controversial businessman Vusimuzi Matlala of a police raid at his house. Phone records before the Madlanga Commission today show Nkosi was in constant communication with Matlala just days leading up to the raid. On the 16th of December 2024, police pounced on Matlala's Waterkloof Ridge home following up on intel that kidnapped businessman Jerry Boshoga was being kept on the premises. Tabi Sokoba reports.
Witness C, a counterintelligence officer at SAPS, told the Madlanga Commission last year he believed the reason they didn't find Jerry Boshoga at Vusimuzi Matlala's home was because he had been moved. Witness C testified he believed someone in the police tipped Matlala off. Call records before the Madlanga Commission show there were calls between Sergeant Fani Nkosi and Matlala on the 2 days leading up to the raid and even on the day of the raid. Nkosi says he was calling Matlala to hand himself over to police so he can answer questions on 2 kidnapping cases he was linked with.
Based on your answer, it would mean either on the 4th or the 5th of December, you told Kat Matlala that the police want to interview him in relation to the Jerry Boshoga kidnapping.
Yes.
So he would have known from you that the police regard him as a suspect in the Jerry Boshoga case.
Testifying before the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee last November, Matlala denied having anything to do with the kidnapping of Boshoga. Tabi Sokoba, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says there was a clear link between the raid at Matlala's house and the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. Masemola is back before Parliament today to give further evidence before the ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. Babalondenze reports.
Fani Masemola says he never found out the reason for disbanding the PKTT and never received any clarity. He also told MPs that he never supported the decision to disband the PKTT immediately and recommended that it should be done gradually and in phases. Masemola further states that the reasons for the directive only became clearer in early December 2024 when the PKTT raided Vusimuzi Matlala's house.
In between from 6th of December 2024, after the arrest of Molefe and the search of Matlala's premises. So that's where we were now linking the directive of the 31st of December back to the 6th of December raid at Matlala's place.
He says further investigation revealed that the aim was to prevent further investigations in Gauteng cases and there was no real interest in PKTT dockets. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The state in the case against Bellarmine Mugabe says plea negotiations are at an advanced stage. The son of late Zimbabwean former President Robert Mugabe and his co-accused made a brief appearance in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today. Mugabe and Tobias Matonze are accused of shooting and injuring an employee at their Hyde Park home in Johannesburg last month. It's understood the plea agreement between the state and the defense could see the two pleading guilty to some charges. Their lawyer, Sinenhlanhla Mnguni, says negotiations should be finalized before next week's court appearance.
The prosecutor, on behalf of the state, did put it on record that the matter is quite some way advanced in terms of the negotiations, and we're hoping to conclude those. And my understanding from at least the state side is that they'll be ready to finalize the plea next Tuesday.
And Cuba is investigating a power outage which left nearly 11 million people without electricity. The blackout comes as the United States pursues its oil blockade against the island's communist government. The country has experienced prolonged power cuts and fuel shortages since the U.S. threatened to impose sanctions on countries importing oil to the island, further straining the country's aging power stations. Russia, China and the United Nations have condemned the blockade, calling it inhumane. Gold is trading at $5,015.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.69 to the dollar, 22.25 to the pound, 19.22 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $100.21 a barrel.
In Boksburg, slow-moving traffic that's heading towards Brakpan on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. Midrand traffic sluggish N1 north from Allendale to Samrand.
In your sport, contrasting T20 results for the Proteas as the men lose to New Zealand while the women secure a series-levelling win. Real Madrid look to add to Manchester City's Blues as they meet in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League tie. And 2 uncapped players selected to attend the first Springbok virtual alignment camp.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers in some parts. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The National Consumer Commission is urging Lexus car owners affected by the latest vehicle recall to visit their dealerships immediately.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
.702 Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 17th of March. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, and that could be anywhere in the world, welcome to the show. Why would you send a confidential police document to a civilian which names complainant and witness and gives their addresses and phone numbers? That was the question put to Sergeant Fani Nkosi at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. I watched for a while. The question was put multiple times, and eventually when I had to stop what I was watching and go on to do what I was meant to be doing, he hadn't provided a plausible answer. That may of course have changed. Tabiso Goba will update us at 10 past 5. In other stories, Limpopo province is bracing itself for more flooding. Mongezi Koko is in the north of the country. He'll join us shortly for an update on what he's seen and heard. The city of Joburg is planning to spend 23 million rand on relocating the art that's currently held in very dangerous and difficult circumstances at the Joburg Art Gallery, which has been in a state of dire disrepair for a long time. But if they're going to spend 23 million on that out of a budget of 50 million for dealing with the problem, will that leave enough money to start fixing up the facility? More on that after 4. And we'll meet the master chef judge who believes that every part of an animal is edible, from the top of the nose to the tip of the tail. Giles Edwards is our guest at 10 to 5. On the markets, the all-share index is pretty much flat today, despite a 0.7% rise in the resources index. That jump in resources due to a 7.75 improvement in the gold price, a 2.6% gain in the price of platinum. Implats and Northam have gained 2.92%. Harmony is up by 2.4%. Optasia is the big gainer today, though, up by 4.3%. On the downside, Telkom has lost 3.5% today. Mr. Price is off by 2.3%. The rand is trading at 16.68 against the dollar. That's a 6-cent gain today. A euro will cost you 19 rand 21, 22 rand 24 will get you a pound. Brent crude is up today by $1.60 a barrel. Yo. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 4:25. Sport with Tolakele Mganga, update on those cricket matches and a look ahead to some big football tonight. Mbali Dlamini will be back with the latest news headlines, and Karabo Chali is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first. But if we've missed something or you know something we don't, please do drop us a note, a voice note, or a text to 072 702 1702. And if you want to call in, and we can have a chat on 011 883 0702. 12 minutes past 3. This is 702 Drive.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Plenty to talk about, lots to ask questions about, lots to think about, including some of those thoughts that may just kind of pop into your head. Now, we were chatting a bit earlier, and the question came up, and I can't exactly recall how. And I'll explain exactly how we're going to do this in two parts. But the question that was asked, what did you learn about men's and boys' habits by being in a relationship with a man? What kind of surprising things, or maybe some pleasant ones, I would hope, came up as your relationship with men became intimate in a particular way? Just for anyone who says, well, why just men? We'll do the reverse question involving women tomorrow. So relax, trust me, this is not going to be one-sided. But for now, give us your thoughts on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Rifue, what did you learn about men when you started having relationships and romance? Oh, that sounds ominous.
Good afternoon.
Karabo, put on your helmet.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So I'm going to start with the positive stuff. So I've only
great.
dated alpha men.
Okay.
And these are a guy's guy. I love to be in charge because I think it's so attractive when a man is very decisive and I'll fix that referee. There's a leak. I think that's beautiful. So with alpha males, it's the go-getter attitude that I absolutely love. And then the negative stuff. I mean, I've got a list. I mean, we don't have the whole day referee.
Yes.
So I've got a list.
We do have time, though.
We have time, but also
Yeah.
I want to give Karabo a chance to give me a bit of a rebuttal on that. So the bad stuff is sometimes flushing is optional. Yeah. I don't know, because sometimes I'm like, why don't you flush? We're saving water. No, flush.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he was going
And
with...
is that all males or alpha males?
I've only dated alphas, but I've got a brother, so...
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
he also
pretty
didn't-
sure it's just alphas.
Yeah.
What's it? If it's yellow, let it mellow. It was. I don't know what he was trying to do. Some nursery rhyme. Flash it down. If it's brown, I'm like, just flash this thing. I don't need to see that. I love you enough. I don't have to see that optional flashing. That's just my little. two
Okay,
cents.
so good, some good things and bad things. So, I mean, obviously, Karabo, you may want to talk about what you think people may have discovered about you, or what you may have discovered about yourself as people have discovered things about you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've seen it with my dad, and I'm doing it. And funny enough, my son is also doing it. And we can't find anything in the house. We'll look for a nail clipper. We'll look at all the drawers, and my partner will be like, I'm sure it's there. Just look carefully. And I'll be frustrated. I'll be like, I can't find it. There's nothing there. And then she'll just rock up, ruffle a little bit there, open a few drawers, and there, voila, there's the clippers. And I'm like, wow, you're a magician. So yeah, we hardly find anything in the house. And
Really,
we genuinely look, eh?
Yeah. Okay, now Karabo Malapile would like to add a layer to our conversation. Go.
I think most men turn blind once they get into romantic relationships.
Turn blind.
Yes, and
Okay.
this is to add into what Kara was saying. Like, they just never find anything in the house until you say, but it's just, I was like, oh, it is, They just randomly turn blind.
And it's the same place where they put it.
Yep.
It's like, Han, you had it lost.
But why should something be in the place where you put it?
Excuse me?
All right, fair point. No, there's a logic to what you are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so you notice that we get. Do you think when we're back living on our own, or perhaps living with a couple of male friends or relatives, do you think that problem persists?
Not really, because when
really?
you're alone, you will find your socks and all of that. But once there's someone in the house with you all the time, suddenly you can't find things on your own.
Two men living together. Do you think they're still there now because they still haven't found their keys?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, if there are two men and you're still stuck in the house because you can't get out, give us a call. Can't find the remote. Very interesting, though. So please share with us your thoughts, things that you've discovered about men once you become involved in relationships with them, and we'll do the flip side of the question and ask that question about women tomorrow. But today we're dealing with men. So your thoughts, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It is 16 minutes past 3.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com. Do it now. Karabo Charlie, how are we looking?
Well, at this stage in Boksburg, heading towards Brakpan, slow-moving traffic. N17 eastbound from Rondebosch to Carnival City in Midrand. Also slow-moving traffic heading towards Centurion. This is on the N1 northbound between Allendale and Samrand. If you are traveling through Roodepoort heading towards Fourways, expect some delays. This is on the N1 northbound before 14th Avenue. This is due to an accident. So avoid that route if you can. If you're leaving Soweto heading towards Roodepoort, look out for those faulty traffic lights. Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nordia and the N1. For the latest traffic updates, you can follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Still to come on 702 Drive, news of yet another vehicle recall. There really have been a lot of these. I haven't got a full list in front of me. I'll have one in time for our interview at 10 to 4. The latest vehicle to be recalled is a couple of models of the Lexus. And we'll talk at 10 to 4 to Peto Ntaba, beg your pardon, who's media liaison manager for the National Consumer Commission. But between now and then, or any time after the interview, if you like, I want to know if you've owned a vehicle that's been recalled. VW has been affected. I think the Ford, various models of Ford have been involved. And as I said, there have been plenty more. I'd like to know what has happened. I mean, you would have had to go to your dealership. You would have had to get certain things addressed. How did it work out for you? I mean, did the inconvenience is undeniable, but I don't know if it was more than just an inconvenience, i.e. having to find a couple of hours in a working day, or whether it's become something quite seriously disabling of your life. Do give us a call on that. I'd love to start just banking up some experiences from our listeners in advance of that conversation with the National Consumer Commission. Just a reminder, that's coming up at 10 to 4. It's 20 past 3.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's take ourselves now to Limpopo province, an area of the country heavily hit by flooding earlier this year, and the problems appear to be building up again. Our colleague from EWN, Mongezi Koko, is up in the north, and he joins us now. Mongezi, a very good afternoon to you. Where are you now, and what have you seen so far? Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Ndate John. I am stationed in Gumela village, about 100 kilometers south of the city of Musina. And Dr. John, it's really a tragic sight to see a reprisal of the floods that we saw in January. Particularly where I'm stationed, you can see a bridge, one of 3 bridges that have been washed away over the last 2 days as a result of this inclement weather and persistent rainfall. And this is where we then witnessed a number of residents struggling to cross that said bridge, and rather struggling to cross 3 rivers to get to the connecting road to town. This is where most of the taxis and the buses are stationed, and they are really struggling to get through them. And as things developed, we saw emergency medical personnel stationed here. There's about 8 medical and EMS personnel who are responsible for 5 districts surrounding this particular area. That's about a 90-kilometer stretch of various districts. And John, what we saw was an ambulance that was supposed to collect an elderly patient from one of these areas, and they struggled. In fact, they had to cross all 3 of those rivers and still be able to carry a stretcher and then retrieve the lady. And as they did retrieve her, they then struggled to get out, of course, having to put down the stretcher, regain their strength after battling the gushing water, and then head over to the emergency vehicles. So it's really a developing situation. What we also took note of earlier in the day was about at 9 a.m., there was a report of a drowning south of this river that streams through this particular village of Gumela, and this is where EMS personnel continue the search for one individual. We have no confirmed fatalities and or injuries just yet, so waiting for an update. We are about to receive it moments from now, and this is where we'll understand what exactly today's searches have yielded. We do understand that they are remaining on standby for tomorrow and the coming days, with the South African Weather Service having issued between level 2 and level 4 weather warnings for inclement weather up until the end of March.
And Mongezi, in terms of levels of preparedness, obviously, on the one hand, you could say that Limpopo's been through this before, and therefore they need to know they ought to know what they need to do. The flip side of that, though, is the last heavy floods were not that long ago. The province and all its organizations and institutions would have been catching their breath and trying to recharge the war chest in order to deal with it. This comes at a very bad time, I would have thought.
That's correct, John. Well, in fact, the province only responded to the disaster, or rather the looming disaster, only 2 days ago, having issued a statement. And this was after the Department of Education within the province then shut down schools yesterday and today in the Bembe and Mopani districts, citing safety concerns for both students and teachers alike. And then we also saw the University of Venda moving their academic studies, or rather academic lessons, to online instead of face-to-face, also citing similar reasons as to why they are putting a halt to learners and educators coming to the facilities and to the campuses. Now, Dr. John, the province has said that they are keeping an eye out and have activated their disaster management teams. However, nothing to do with early warning systems or preparedness or anything along those lines. What we've also managed to see is that when we were here back in January, the very same displaced people have not really found homes yet. They haven't been rehoused or been given shelters, and now the concern from those who weren't affected badly in the January floods is that they are going to suffer a similar fate and find themselves homeless and potentially losing all their belongings and the potential loss of life. So it's really a cause of uncertainty here. What we're seeing is that sense of uncertainty and not being sure what comes next at this stage.
Thank you so much, Mongezi Koko, up in Limpopo province. If you're in that part of South Africa, or you're in touch with family members who live up in districts like Vembe or any others that have been hit as hard as Vembe has, please do get in touch and just share with us what they're saying. What are they saying about the weather? What are they saying about the response? What are they saying about what they need the most? All of that, please, to 072 702 1702. 25 minutes past 3.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, later in the show, we'll go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. But right now, let's catch up with the other investigative arm into the allegations of criminality, corruption, and political interference in the South African Police Service. We're going down to Parliament, of course, to the Ad Hoc Commission, where National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola is being questioned for the second time now by members of Parliament. Babalo Ndenze, our EWN colleague, is there. Babalo, very good afternoon to you. I'll give you a moment shortly just to tell us what you think are the most important issues that have come up and what's been laid bare. But a more general question to start off. I've been struck by how often somebody who is, on paper at least, the most powerful person in the South African Police Service appears regularly to say, well, I never got an explanation for that. I don't know about you, but I don't get the impression that he ever demands one.
Yes, I can't argue with that, John. I think that is, the sense one does get because, even when he met with the Minister on Suspension, Senzo Mkhunu, during different times in 2024, December, before the directive was issued on New Year's Eve, he had ample opportunity to maybe approach the minister and ask him, but he tells the committee that no, the minister didn't raise the PKTT disbandment at these funerals that they attended, during meetings that they had on Christmas Eve. They had an important meeting about Cat Matlala's Medicare 24 contract.
Yes.
And even at that meeting, the directive was never brought up at that meeting. And even on Shadrack Sbiya, Shadrack Sbiya is General Fani Masemola's subordinate. And Sbiya was, quite central in having this directive implemented immediately. And he even told the committee himself that, he was merely, taking the orders of General Masemola. And this is a claim Masemola also denies because he was saying that he was, in the dark for a lot of the time. He only found out early January about this disbandment officially because he was on leave. And it was, Lieutenant General Mosigidi, who was acting commissioner, who was also a bit in the dark when that directive was issued. So one does get a feeling that, Masemola may have been, not informed about certain decisions, but he didn't, go out of his way to find out or to demand an answer from these people that are involved.
The other possibility, of course, is that he regularly got answers, but either agreed with the decisions or chose not to act, even if he disagreed. What question, if you were to pick one, Babalo, has he found the most difficult to answer?
Well, he's faced a lot of questions, questions about payments that were made by Brown Mokgotsi, allegations. Also, he was also asked a lot about, the link between the raid at Cat Matlala's house as well as the directive. But a question that is just been asked now is about factions, and he's at pains trying to explain to the member that, there are no factions in the police, but the member is insisting that, from what we've heard over the last 6 months, since October the 7th last year, a lot of the submissions do point towards serious divisions and factions within SAPS. But Fani Masemola saying that, he can't see any. He's also, facing a lot of questions about, how he did not take any action against Shadrack Sbiya, his subordinate. And, some of the questions that he's really struggled to answer are those main ones, really, about the PKTT disbandment, as well as these issues about, Lieutenant General Francina Vuma, I beg your pardon, John, who also testified last week. You might remember her, where she accused him of conniving with General Begitwele, to get rid of her as the DNC in charge of support services. Sorry,
right.
Slipped my mind there shortly. So he says, he doesn't, support the notion that Begitwele is ruling from the grave, and he feels it's an incorrect statement. So he's just struggling with those questions about Begitwele, General Vuma, as well as issues, that he's been asked about earlier on during the testimony about the PKTT disbandment and his lack of knowledge in finding out exactly what was happening with this decision by Senzo Mkhunu.
Thank you so much, Babalo Ndenze. His job not done today. I'm just looking up at the TV screens. The SAPS Ad Hoc Committee still continuing. National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola is answering questions, currently being quizzed by David Scorsana from the MK Party. It's 3:30. Right, let's get updated on all the stories that are making news here and further afield. Mbali Dlamini, over to you. Good afternoon again.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. Residents of Gumela village in Limpopo are experiencing extreme difficulty moving around after the bridge connecting them to other communities was completely washed away. The bridge partially collapsed during flooding in the province in January. Community members now say the situation has been exacerbated by the persistent heavy downpours in the recent days. Mongezi Koko is there and files this report.
Residents say government promised to repair the bridge following the initial floods, but that work has not yet begun. One community member who asked to remain anonymous says the area has effectively been cut off with people unable to cross safely. She claims officials have not returned to the community since a visit by national and provincial leaders in January, which she describes as a public relations exercise.
When the initial bridge collapsed, they promised to rebuild, but nothing. No help, no visits, nothing.
Meanwhile, the South African Weather Service has warned that heavy rainfall could continue across parts of Limpopo until the end of the month. The forecast has also issued level 2 to level 4 weather warnings for several areas, raising concerns about further flooding. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
The Cape Town Collective Ratepayers Association says the city's latest property valuations could drive steep rates increases. This is despite the city announcing it's prepared to propose a 10.2% decrease in rates for residential properties. Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says their rate in Rand, a formula used to calculate property rates, is set to lower after healthy property value growth in the latest valuation. Carlo Peterson reports.
The City of Cape Town says around 60% of homes can expect a decrease or no change in property rates. However, the Cape Town Collective Ratepayers Association, which represents 10% of property owners who cover 60% of residential rates in the city, says its members have already seen increases. Chairperson Bas Seidberg.
On average, the Cape Town increases were 17%. However, our members are reporting increases which are significantly higher. 25% is not unusual and even gone up to as high as 140%.
The Metro says while the overall value of residential property increased by 17%, changes differ from home to home, with more details to be announced when the city's draft budget is tabled later this month. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in Japan, the Tokyo District Court has rejected a lawsuit challenging the country's restrictions on voluntary sterilization. It's ruled that the country's legal framework does not violate constitutional protections. 5 women brought the landmark lawsuit forward and expressed their discomfort with what they describe as a patriarchal society that pushes women towards motherhood. Under current law, a woman must have multiple children with her health currently at risk or face life-threatening danger from pregnancy in order to qualify for sterilization. The plaintiffs have now filed an appeal against the ruling at the Tokyo High Court. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers in some parts. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 26 degrees.
Sandton heading towards Midrand, you can expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Butlu interchange. Midrand also traffic sluggish N1 northbound from Ellendale Road to Samrand. In Rudaport, heading towards Fourways, accident scene N1 northbound after Albertino Sisulu causing heavy delays.
The top story in EWN, residents of Gumela village in Limpopo are experiencing extreme difficulty moving around after the bridge connecting them to other communities was completely washed away.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Can you maybe explain to some of our listeners who may not be aware of the impact of supporting locally produced goods? How significant is it? Because, some people think, it's a matter of just showing support for the local businesses, but actually you're feeding homes.
You're right. It's not an shame situation. It's a situation where we are incredibly proud to showcase what it is we do as a country, and also just to remind listeners that when you and I make our purchasing decision in favor of local products, you are essentially assisting and helping in creating one more job.
Happy Makumalo Kiti, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, proudly South African.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Mzansi, are you ready to make it rain millions? Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for a jaw-dropping 145 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Play Powerball for 100 million rand and Powerball Plus for 45 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Itube is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
For Mamotati and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Call Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports. No more disconnected systems. No more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. istratgo.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
One thing that I have learned about men is that they are very good at looking straight through piles of washing. Or if you then move the washing onto their keyboard, such as their computers, for example, to try and get them to do something about it, they just move it out of the way, still without even looking at the piles of washing.
Hello, Dr. John. Interesting conversation. Men are untidy. Like, why do they not wipe the toilet seat and then some of us have to sit down when we need to use the loo? And then they have to wash their hands and don't use the soap. If they do even decide to wash their hands, water will splash everywhere, from the floor, the basin, around the basin. Why? Why are men like that? But we still love them anyway. With Domi Alberton. Thank you.
Sure. Relieved at the end that you two still love us. MGM says, I think men don't look out for expiry dates on food. I mean, how does one buy bread that's best by the following day? I've never heard that before, actually. I mean, we've got the stuff. You can never find anything. We don't keep the toilet area clean. What's the other? We don't contribute to washing up of laundry. But this thing of men don't look out for expiry dates on food, new to me. Anyway, good. This conversation will have an expiry date of today, because tomorrow we'll ask the question in reverse. What have men learnt about women as they become involved in relationships with them? It's 21 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele Mganga joining us with the very latest sports news. Cricket, we're playing New Zealand. There's Champions League football tonight, and the Springboks slowly building up to what should be a huge season. What have you got?
Well, John, Devon Conway top scored with a match-winning innings of 60 from 49 balls as he led New Zealand to a 68-run victory over South Africa in the second T20. Conway's efforts led the platform for a total of 175 for 6. And in response, the Proteas were never in the game as George Linder top scored with 33 from 12 balls as they were all out for 107. Batting coach Astral Prince had this assessment of South Africa's performance with the series now tied at 1-1.
Credit to New Zealand, they played really well. Devon Conway played a fantastic innings for them. Just holding the innings together on a surface that wasn't ever free-flowing for any of the batting teams. But Devon played a lovely innings just to hold things together, and then a few little cameos in and around him. And then obviously they had a strong finish to their innings that gave them a really competitive score out there for today.
The Proteas women beat New Zealand by 18 runs with 5 balls to spare in the second T20 to level their series. Tasman Brits scored 53 off 49 as South Africa posted a competitive 177 for 5. In response, Ayabonga Gaga took 4 for 27 and Nongululego Mlaba 3 for 27 as the hosts were all out for 159.
I think they did very well. I think our slow balls were quite good. I think we also weren't leaving the wicket as much. There wasn't a lot of width like the previous game. I think we're either short or full. Licorice, all sorts if I want to say that. But I think this time they actually bowled a lot better.
Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappe has recovered from his knee injury and is fit to face Manchester City in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League last 16 tie tonight. Midfielder Jude Bellingham, however, will not feature despite travelling for the match. And interim coach Alvaro Arbeloa admits that with the French forward back in contention for selection, hat-trick hero Fede Valverde will have to be shifted around.
Fede can play anywhere, and wherever he plays really well. And now I think he's playing at his best. He can score goals, he can run, and he has this freedom to move on the field. And I think when Mbappe or Jude Bellingham they are back with the team, we need this version of Fede.
Rassie Erasmus has added Carlos Sadie and JJ van der Schmat to the 21-player group who will attend the first virtual Springbok alignment camp. Back in the mix are Herschel Yankees, Lukhanyo Amin, SA Rugby Men's Player of the Year Malcolm Marx. 2 sessions will be hosted today to accommodate the players' different time zones where they'll be presented with the box macro plan for the year. And former Olympic long jump silver medalist Luvo Manyongo will end a 7-year international hiatus after being selected in the South African delegation to compete in the World Indoor Championships this month. Manyongo won silver at the 2016 Olympic Games but has received 2 doping bans in his career. In December 2024, he completed a 4-year ban for failing to provide anti-doping officials with sufficient information to complete drug testing. He then underwent rehab and didn't compete between 2012 and 2014 and was given an 18-month suspension after testing positive for tick. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up now for 18 minutes to 4, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Karabo Charlie, keeping an eye on the roads for us. Good day.
Good day, John. Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand, expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Pacloons Change. Midrand also traffic sluggish. N1 northbound from Ellendale all the way to Samrand. In Rudaport, there's an accident scene on the N1 northbound just after Albertino Sisulu, causing heavy delays leaving Soweto. And in Boksburg, there's also slow-moving traffic on the N17 eastbound from Rondebolt to Carnival City. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702 Drive, still to come on the show. The Johannesburg Art Gallery has been a source of huge anxiety for a good many years now. The security there is extremely poor. I remarked on that, I think before I even joined 702. I remember going there one afternoon and just thinking, boy, people can just walk in there. There were big holes in the fence, and literally within a few steps of entering, you were in the presence of artwork worth tens of millions of rands. Never mind the wonderful South African art that is further inside the building. But on arrival, you greeted, I think, by Picasso and a Rodin sculpture. Anyway, park that, because that was a while ago. It's just got worse, it would seem, and that is extended to the building leaking and, of course, rainwater and precious, irreplaceable works of art do not mix well. There's a plan afoot now from the city of Johannesburg. 50 million rand has been budgeted, but 23.6 million rand of that, we're reading today, has been allocated for preparing other places to actually house those places of art. That does not, as I understand it, include the relocation costs themselves. And questions are being asked as to whether that might be more money being spent than is needed, firstly. But secondly, how much does that leave for actually fixing the art gallery up? We'll talk about that in detail after 4 o'clock. It's 4:45.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Tola Kelly, we were asking what it is that you learn about the habits of men and maybe even boys, because it all does come from somewhere. Once you get to know them better in the context of a relationship, what would your observations be? Be nice.
Well,
no, be honest. I think that's what we want.
They're a lot more emotional than they'd like to lead on.
That's interesting.
And a lot of that emotion is often linked to their sports teams, because let your team lose, someone will make fun of you for 5 days and 5 nights.
Yes.
But when their team loses, we shouldn't talk about sports. Like, we can
Yes.
have better conversations.
Yeah.
Why? Because I can handle the pressure, but you can't. But also, I also tend to find that they tend to hold on to things until a weird moment where they're like, oh, I'm bringing this back. But I'm like, it happened 2 months ago.
Yes.
Why are you still bringing this thing up? But I think as you kind of learn someone's personality, you do realize that this is how they communicate and how they deal with conflict. So you have to give them the space to deal with it at their own time.
So you saying that thing of presenting people with emotional bills long after, there's been 4 audits already, is a very male thing. Are you saying men do it more than women?
From my interactions with men, before they take me to the BCCSA,
we won't.
From my interactions, I tend to find that they will let you scream, they will let you yell and all of those things. And then when they're at their moment of calm and they think, oh, you're over it, then they'll bring it up. I don't know if it's meant to be like, oh, remember, I don't forget these things. But I tend to realize that they hold on until it's an inappropriate time for me, but it's an appropriate time for them.
It's a bit like the sort of Auditor General, she reports on all these things that happened about a year ago, perhaps when it would be better if we knew about them sooner. Okay, keep those coming, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. This is 702 Afternoon Drive.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, there's been another vehicle recall announced today. This in particular focuses on the Lexus brand. It also is through a very particular window of time. Vehicles distributed, i.e. sold between 13 March 2025 and 16 January 2026. And if you want to know the specific models, the LX500D F Sport and the LX500D Overtrail, those vehicles, a total of around 110 units distributed into the South African market. Now, there have been a lot of vehicle recalls, just to name a few, and I'm talking just in the past 12 months. 25,000 Polo Vivo models, serious handbrake defect, the sedan and Golf also affected by that. Ford had a number of marques that were put up for recall: the Everest, the Ranger, the EcoSport, that was in 2025, the Transit Custom earlier in 2024. One more example, but as I say, there are plenty in the sort of under the Stellantis umbrella: Jeep, Chrysler, Citroen DS. That was the Jeep Wrangler, the Chrysler 300C, and airbag defects were the issue there. So, what is going on? Because there are 2 ways of looking at it. The one is that, well, it's great that the vehicles are being recalled because there is awareness out there and presumably a high level of transparency from manufacturers. Let's welcome then Peto Ndaba, who's Media Liaison Manager at the National Consumer Commission, and it's the NCC that comes up with these announcements and presumably follows up on compliance in terms of there being service support so that people can get their vehicles fixed up and back on the road. Ms. Ndaba, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time on 702 Drive. Before we talk about specific vehicle recalls, is the NCC or anybody else looking at just how many of these there have been in recent months? And might there be some kind of more detailed look at the manufacturing sector in general to see if things are going wrong on the production lines?
Thanks, John. So as the NCC, when we receive a notification, yes, of course, we'll record that information. But I think what is important is our conversation or engagement with the supplier or manufacturer, just to understand what's the problem.
Yes.
You've mentioned some of the Stellantis where the main issue there would be your airbag, right? Particularly that side. But with other brands, it's issues like your handbrake, issues like your brake, safety belt, and all those. So there are other role players in the space, that deals with specifications. To say this particular component should meet this particular specification and all that. So our conversation is really, we look at the issue of safety holistically. Each player then will come and ask their questions. But what we are driving to is to really say, what is it that they can do to ensure that we minimize these recalls? We can't say we will completely do away with recalls, but we minimize the recalls. And also just to say, let them tighten their processes, their specifications, and the processes, just to ensure that immediately when a defect is being identified, they identify, or they rather communicate. I think that's why now we see a lot of these recalls. It's a good thing that we raise awareness, as you said, just to minimize the possible harm to the consumer. But we still need to see them now really saying, we this year or this month we don't have any recalls.
Right. So,
unfortunately, we see this a year, a month, 3 months, a year later.
So I'm wondering, does the NCC follow up on post-recall service? So obviously, we've got to an important point, and this is information people need to know. Do you follow up, though, to see, for example, whether Volkswagen, I'm just using them as an example of one of the largest recalls, whether they are actually setting up their branches to deal with the volume of people who I'm sure would start coming in to get their cars back on the road in safe fashion?
We do get feedback. By law, they're actually compelled to give us periodic reports.
Okay.
These suppliers, yes. So once we have that information and we have, they have closed the recall. In that, let's say 25,000, they would say we have received all 25,000, we have fixed all the 25,000 and all that. Here is information and the proof. We close that information. And those reports are actually on our website, on our quarterly reports. We report on a quarterly basis. And so consumers can go to the website and just see how many recalls were closed, and all that. So it's the same thing, be it a vehicle, your roll-on, pet food, and all that.
So it's across products.
Correct, yes, and a type of redress to the consumer. With vehicles, it's an issue of them fixing the components. But with fast-moving goods, will be the issue either of a refund or an exchange of a particular product. And where consumers would have paid money to repair a vehicle, those consumers would then have to receive their money back.
In terms then of, what your reports are telling you, do you feel that the companies who have called for a recall, and obviously the NCC has then jumped into action to do your part in the process, in terms of the reports you've been getting in, do you get the sense that A, they've been well prepared for these recalls, and secondly, that customers by and large would have been satisfied?
I think the issue here, John, would be consumers not responding immediately.
Yes.
Now that gives the manufacturers or the suppliers enough time now to receive those vehicles. Because, if it's 25,000 and some consumers don't respond immediately, those who would have responded, they get their vehicles fixed. I think that's where we come in, with this opportunity to say to consumers, do hit the call. The fact that your car has not given you problems, and it's being recalled, it then means there's a problem. You don't want to say, no, nothing has happened, nothing will happen. Hit the call so that we are now able to track and close these recalls. Not necessarily to close the recalls, but just to monitor whether they are really giving you redress as a consumer. But if you are not responding either to their calls or emails, or even to this call that we are making, it then makes it a bit difficult for us to say suppliers are really attending to your queries or not. Do hit the call so that we can work together to monitor the recall.
Thank you so much. Peto Ntaba is Media Liaison Manager for the National Consumer Commission. Now, I did ask this earlier, but you might not have been listening, and I'm really keen to get some responses. I just have to believe on the law of averages, given how many recalls there have been and the scale of some of those, notably the VW example that I've been giving, that some of you out there would have been affected by this. Please share your story. I mean, did you go and find that the people who you bought the car from were well set up, ready and prepared to help you? And I wonder if, you once the fixing up was done, whether your car was fine and absolutely ready to go back on the road. Please give us a call on that on 011 883 0702.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The South African Police Service has raised the alarm over skilled officers leaving the force to join the private sector or engage in criminality. The most recent case study is of former police officer Matipandile Soteni, who allegedly shot and killed Marius van der Merwe.
Police have described Matipandile Soteni, who allegedly shot and killed witness D, as a very dangerous man, given the fact that he was part of the special task force. The task force is the most elite unit within the South African Police Service, with its officers highly trained to neutralize threats with extreme accuracy.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Safety begins in our homes, our streets, and our communities. Government is working to ensure that every person in South Africa feels safe. Based on the President's commitment during the State of the Nation address, the South African National Defence Force is being deployed to support the South African Police Service in crime prevention operations across selected areas in Gauteng, Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, and the Northwest. Their role is to support the South African Police Service to protect communities and strengthen safety where it matters most. Fighting crime needs all of us. If you see criminal activity, speak up. Report it to your nearest police station or call Crime Stop on 0800 10 111. Working together for a safer South Africa. A message from the Government Communication and Information System, the GCIS.
Why argue with your teenage know-it-all when you can feel more in control? Get the Haval H6 from only $6299 per month with intelligent voice command technology that does not backchat. Perfect. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Still to come on 702 Drive, we're going to update you on what's happening at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Just looking up at my screen, I see Sergeant Fani Nkosi is still being asked questions and offering answers. Tabiso Goba will be joining us a little bit later for that. Coming up shortly, we're going to look at plans to deal with the many problems facing the Johannesburg Art Gallery, the plan on the table certainly raises some questions about spending priorities, in my mind at least. David Flemminger is the chair of the Heritage Foundation, and they've been involved in, first of all, a lot of the lobbying, and secondly, a lot of the negotiations. Coming up for the news at 4 o'clock, we'll, of course, get an update from the markets from Stephen Critter. Somewhat flat when I looked at the JSE. That oil price keeps on going up, but good numbers as well in terms of the gold and platinum price. Stephen with an overview at about 25 minutes past 4. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Lawyers say Judge Sisiha Mpepe is being unfairly attacked, and top cop Faninkosi struggles explaining why he shared police information. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The High Court in Johannesburg has heard that Judge Sisiha Mpepe is being unfairly attacked during an application to remove her as chairperson of the TRC Cases Inquiry. Advocate Tembeka Ncukai-Dobi, who represents the Commission, says Mpepe should be protected against insults and personal cost orders. The court is hearing an application to remove Mpepe as chair of the inquiry, which is probing delays in the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes. Former presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma approached the court seeking to compel her removal after she declined a request to recuse herself. Dimakatso Lushoro reports.
On the first day of the court battle, the full bench of the South Gauteng High Court heard arguments from senior counsel representing former President Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. They want Judge Mpepe to be removed as chair because they claim she did not make full disclosures about her short stint at the NPA in the late 90s. Similarly, President Ramaphosa's lawyers told the court her refusal to recuse herself has brought the commission into disrepute and could undermine public trust in the commission's work. In response, Advocate Tembeka Ncukai-Dobi for the commission says Judge Mpepe should be protected.
She has been accused of criminal conduct without a shred of evidence. She has absolutely no one to protect her. Let's be serious. She really has no one to protect her, including the very president who appointed her.
Ncukai-Dobi says the review application is an abuse of court process. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, South Gauteng High Court.
Top cop Faninkosi has struggled to explain why he shared confidential police information with controversial businessman Steve Mutsumi. Nkosi, an officer within organized crime at the Gauteng SAPS, has been testifying before the Madlanga Commission today in Pretoria. He has faced a grilling over allegations he was the middleman between suspected crime bosses as well as senior police officials. Tabi Sokoba reports.
Sergeant Faninkosi has shared a number of police documents with Steve Mutsumi. This includes fingerprint kits, audits and crime reports. Nkosi was pressed on sharing a letter with Mutsumi that contained the personal details of suspects and witnesses involved in a case of stolen chrome, guns and ammunition at a mine in the northwest.
So at the time of writing, was this not a confidential subdocument? Not at the time of sharing.
I don't know if we pack it and...
No, General. I'm Sergeant. I don't know how many times you've said that. I'm asking you the question now, and I want a response now, please.
But I was never given an opportunity to pack issues. Maybe this time you can give me the opportunity to pack this one.
Nkosi says Mutsumi has an interest in police affairs. That's why he shared some of his documents with him. However, Co-Commissioner Sesi Baloyi called his explanation unsatisfactory. Tabi Sokoba, Eyewitness News.
The National Consumer Commission is urging Lexus car owners affected by the latest recall to visit their dealerships immediately. The Commission announced a recall of over 110 Lexus vehicles today. The recall affects some of the brand's models which were distributed between the 13th of March 2025 and the 16th of January 2026. The Commission says that decision was taken due to faults in the car's automatic transmission systems. Spokesperson Peto Ndaba warns that the faults could potentially lead to accidents or ignite a fire in the engine.
The reason for the recall of the LX500D F Sport and LX500D Overtrail is a faulty solenoid, which is a component that controls gear shifts. Now, this could actually lead to the transmission and the damage of the transmission, and the loss of motive power while driving at higher speeds.
She has urged affected drivers to visit authorized Lexus dealerships for reprogramming.
Ozeta consumers do take the vehicles back for them to inspect and repair their defect. They say if certain damage occurs to the transmission housing, there's a high possibility of transmission fluid to leak from the housing. This actually could increase the risk of crash. Do heed the call and take the vehicle back to their supplier.
In the courts now, the state in the case against Bellarmine Mugabe says plea negotiations are at an advanced stage. The son of late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe and his co-accused made a brief appearance in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today. Mugabe and Tobias Matonze are accused of shooting and injuring an employee at their home in Hyde Park in Johannesburg last month. It's understood the plea agreement between the state and the defense could see the two pleading guilty to some of those charges. Their lawyer, Sinenhlanhla Mnguni, says negotiations should be finalized before next week's court appearance.
The prosecutor, on behalf of the state, did put it on record that the matter is quite some way advanced in terms of the negotiations, and we're hoping to conclude those. And my understanding from at least the state side is that they'll be ready to finalize the plea next Tuesday.
And the United Nations has called for an investigation into a deadly clinic strike in Kabul. Rescue operations are underway following an airstrike at a drug rehabilitation center, which claimed the lives of more than 400 people. Residents reported loud explosions, followed by the sound of aircrafts and air defense systems. The UN says the incident must be investigated promptly, independently and transparently, with those responsible being held to account. Gold is trading at $5,015.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.67 to the dollar, 22.23 to the pound, 19.22 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $100.21 a barrel.
In Rudaport, we still have that accident seen on the N1 northbound just after Albertina Sisulu, causing about a 20-minute delay leaving Soweto. Also expect about a 20-minute delay in Sandton heading towards Midrand on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and the Butlu interchange.
In your sport, contrasting T20 results for the Proteas as the men lose to New Zealand while the women secure a series-levelling win. Real Madrid look to add to Manchester City's Blues as they meet in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League tie. And two uncapped players selected to attend the first Springbok virtual alignment camp.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 25. Pretoria 16 and 28, and Vereeniging 15 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the High Court in Joburg has heard that Judge Sisika Mpepe is being unfairly attacked during an application to remove her as chairperson of the TRC cases inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Hope you're having a good enough Tuesday. If you're having a wonderful one, even better. Coming up on the show in the next hour or so, we're going to look at plans to deal with the many problems facing the Joburg Art Gallery. We are talking literally about hundreds of millions of rand in art treasures that are at risk for various reasons, poor security, but crucially, a building that is leaking. Dripping walls and leaking roofs do not mix well with irreplaceable art. The money, of course, is one aspect of it. And this is, by the way, a city asset. But the word irreplaceable keeps coming to mind. This should have been solved ages ago. There's a plan to get busy with it now. But the plan is raising some questions as well. In particular, the large amount of money that is going to be spent on temporary solutions and not necessarily on fixing the gallery itself. We'll talk about that a little bit later, shortly in fact, with David Flemminger, who is the chair of the Heritage Foundation. They've been very actively involved in lobbying, but also in looking for alternatives to the perilous state of the JAG as it is at the moment. That is in the first half hour of the show. Later, we'll be talking to one of the guest judges on MasterChef, Giles Edwards, who believes that when you are making food from an animal, you can use just about every single bit of it. And that's what MasterChef contestants were required to deal with on Sunday. We'll hear from Giles at about 10 to 5. Madlanga Commission underway. It's been a fascinating day. Most of the days at Madlanga have been. Tabiso Gobe is watching closely as Sergeant Fani Nkosi offers answers to the questions he's being asked. Not all of them, I have to say, from what I've seen, to the satisfaction of the commissioners. That's at about 10 minutes past 5. We're trying to get hold of Philip Snyman, coach of the Blitzboks. They have done wonderfully well to end up as series winners in the HSBC Sevens. They've just landed in Cape Town for what will be a brief but certainly well-deserved break. They have just flown in from the United States. Hope to get that for you at 20 past 5. We'll update you on that. Been asking a couple of questions today. One of them I asked was, please, can you tell me if you've had a vehicle recalled and you've actually gone through the process, going back to the dealer and trying to get what needs fixing fixed. I'd love to know what your experience has been. It's crucial. It's one thing to announce the need for a recall, and some of the stuff has been serious. Airbags, brakes, not to be messed with. But if you haven't had service that you should, we'd like to know. If you've had great service, I'd be even more pleased to hear about that. And then we ask you, what have you learned about men once you started having relationships with them? This is what some of you had to say.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. I just want to help correct your female colleague sitting next to you. Men are emotive, not emotional when it comes to sport. Emotive means it's the cause. Emotional means it's the effect. So I just wanted to correct her.
I'm not sure I fully understand that. I mean, if I were to describe myself, I would say emotional, and sometimes I wouldn't quite say hysterical, but yeah, emotive. I'm going to have to do some dictionary Googling while we bring you the very latest traffic news. It's 12 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. Roodepoort is a little rough. Here's Karabo Charlie.
Yeah, so if you're leaving Soweto heading towards Four Ways, expect about a 20-minute delay on the N1 northbound. This is approaching Albertina Sisulu due to an earlier accident in the Roodepoort area. In Sandton, also about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands to the Batlu interchange, while in Midrand, traffic remains sluggish. On the N1 northbound from Allendale all the way to Samrand. And in Boksburg, also slow-moving traffic. This is due to roadworks. N17 eastbound from Rondebold all the way to Carnival City. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
You've been accused of having employed General Sibia. General Sibia. The process was so transparent that even before he started work, I called media why I had to form an anti-corruption unit through council. I didn't just really form it in my office because of the level of corruption. 35 billion rands of fraud and corruption. Given the mandate, the appointment of the anti-corruption unit must be done in an open, transparent manner.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
On the go and your stomach suddenly not keeping up, that burn, bloating or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Ulcernic offers triple action relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer, and it works for up to 6 hours. No prescription needed. Choose between suspension tablets or effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulcernic's new packaging. A fresh new look outside, same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulcernic Facebook page for more.
Aziz Shege, be in the game. Show your love for D-Ski with Hollywood Bets. We're taking the soccer season to new heights. You could win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Hilux double cab or Toyota Starlet Cross. All you have to do is bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture online or at your nearest branch. Bet now and strike for glory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his client sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Some holidays give you the beach. Some give you the bush. What if one destination gave you both? This July, a world-first travel experience arrives in KZN with the opening of Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort. To celebrate, 702 and Club Med South Africa are giving you the chance to win an all-inclusive beach getaway for two worth 70,000 rand. Are you ready to experience the ultimate escape with Club Med? Tune in to 702 Afternoons with Relebohile Mabocha, weekdays between 1 and 3 p.m. to find out how to enter Club Med South Africa Beach and Safari Resort on 702. T's and C's and more on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. I don't know if you ever visited the Johannesburg Art Gallery when it was in a really terrific state and when you were able to go there and simply enjoy the artwork. And the city really has collected remarkable treasures. That's been under significant threat over a number of years now. The security has been inadequate, and I commented earlier how I certainly felt that on my last visit there, which probably goes back about as many as 10 or 12 years. A more severe problem, perhaps, has been the gradual dilapidation of the building, with water coming in through the roof, other leaks and damp, all of which, of course, puts precious and irreplaceable art at risk. There have been negotiations over a long period of time about what to do next. Clearly, the place cannot be fixed up with all the artwork there, and crucially, it needed to be moved. A long time ago, I think it's fair to say, to prevent the kind of degradation that was already happening. There is a plan underway. It was announced a little while back by Executive Mayor Dada Morero, that 50 million rand had been put towards the project. But today in Daily Maverick, municipal or City of Joburg reporter, I think I should call her, Anna Cox, has written an extensive piece saying that 23.6 million rand, almost half of what's being allocated, is being committed to the process of temporary relocation. And that would be before a single artwork, she says, has been moved. So, is this money well spent, and are the facilities that are being prepared to receive the artwork actually suitable to the task? David Fleminger is the chair of the Joburg Heritage Foundation and joins us on 702 Drive. A very good afternoon to you, and thanks once again for your time. We have spoken on this issue before. 23.6 million rand just to prepare a number of sites, including the Museum Africa, a building called the Pink Building, and rather surprisingly, the Brixton Multi-Purpose Centre, which I don't know, but I wouldn't have associated with a project of this kind. Before we talk about the suitability of those facilities, I want to focus on the cost. Was this the only option? Could it have been done differently and for less? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Thanks for having me on. The short answer is yes, it could have been done. The Johannesburg Heritage Foundation, along with Friends of JAG, we've been working together on this project for at least 18 months now, actually came forward with a fully funded proposal to using external donors, organizations, corporates, philanthropic organizations, and they were prepared to put the money up to relocate the collection, which, as you say, has to be done before the building can be repaired. So that proposal was floated to the city. It was rejected on the basis that the initial plan was to relocate their artworks to Ditsong museums in Pretoria, and the city said, no, it needs to stay within the city. So we said, okay, that's fine, and we were preparing and we suggested other alternative locations. But then unilaterally, the city announced their three preferred locations, being Museum Africa, Brixton, and the Johannesburg City Library for certain print material. The Pink Building came later. The real issue here is that our donors, or the donors who have verbally committed to supporting the relocation, they require certain oversight and certain conditions to be met before they will make the money available. And on inspection of these three locations, where work had already begun, we found them lacking. We brought in a team of experts, engineers, architects, art people, and they found serious concerns with Museum Africa specifically. The Johannesburg City Library, we didn't have an objection to for the print materials. That seems fine. But the Brixton Centre is not suitable. It's all glass and it's not very secure. And you don't want light coming in, and temperature control is a huge issue. So that is basically where we are. The city has unilaterally chosen these locations. Subsequently, we have suggested against them, and we have other alternatives. But the work had already begun, and expenses had already begun to rack up.
So I want to be very clear about this. I mean, you would have done this, not you, obviously, just the Joburg Heritage Foundation, but an amalgamation of people, some of them putting up money, some of them bringing expertise about how art should be relocated and looked after. It was going to be located in Pretoria. It was going to cost the city nothing. And the primary objection was this needs to be kept safe in Johannesburg. I'm puzzled by that, because my understanding is while it's in the state of relocation, pending the fixing up of the gallery, it's not available for viewing anyway. So why would it matter if it was in Pretoria?
That's correct, John. We aren't quite sure why Pretoria was rejected. We're in the same province. You know, these are collective. It's a collective resource that we are trying to protect here. Also, it was very explicitly stated that this collection has to come back to Johannesburg. It cannot remain in Pretoria. This is a temporary relocation. I should also add that original plan included digitization facilities, restoration, as well as all the other things, not just a storage facility. But yes, that was the response we got from the city. It has to stay within the city. And then we started looking around for alternatives within the city. And while we were discussing potential alternatives, we were presented with this fait accompli that work has begun, these are the places. And subsequently, we were asked to give our comments, which have not fallen on receptive ears.
In terms of so we've got 50 million rand towards the project so far. That doesn't mean there won't be more money, but let's work with the 50. Almost half, 23.6 million rand is going to be spent just on preparing these three venues. I don't know if there's going to be any structural changes or investment in the Joburg Library, which has its own story, which we'll park for now. But what would take up 3.6 million rand? I mean, I do get it. You've got to look at air conditioning. You've got to look at racking facilities and so on. It looks to me like a lot of money, but in my very interesting and full and rich life, I've never been involved in relocating hundreds of millions of rands worth of art. So I'm not qualified to comment, but I'm sure you are.
I'm not an absolute art expert. I do know that relocation of the artworks is expensive. There's insurance, there's transport, as you say, there's storage and racks and all of those kinds of things. Some of those expenses are inevitable and not really negotiable. They are just the cost. The real expense has been, for Museum Africa specifically, they have built a shell on the top floor of Museum Africa from scratch. So this is now a self-contained shell structure, prefab structure, with the correct, one would assume the correct climate control and insulation and all of those kinds of things. And it's very important to have those things in place because the attic space is a space where there's a lot of heat fluctuation in terms of temperature, humidity. You're right up against the roof.
Yes.
So it's not an ideal place to start with. So some of the big cost has been actually creating the shell with all the facilities inside of it that has pushed the price up quite a lot. So that is one of the reasons why Museum Africa probably shouldn't have been selected as a venue, because it required this work from scratch as opposed to working with what is already in place and requires less original infrastructure to be put in.
Thank you very much, David Fleminger, Chair of the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation. Yeah, look, I mean, it's good that something is being done. Is this the best use of money? And is the reason offered for not accepting a free and funded solution, presumably involving private sector or possibly foundation money, was declined? Obviously, we'll need to get the city on to get their point of view, but we thank David Fleminger setting the scene. You can have a look at Anna Cox's story on the Daily Maverick site. It's 26 minutes past 4 o'clock.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Let's get the very latest then from Karabo Charlie. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. In Rudaport, we're still dealing with that accident seen on the N1 northbound just after Albertina Sisulu, causing more than a 20-minute delay if you're leaving Soweto heading towards Four Ways. In Protea Glen, Soweto, expect some delays. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Still in Protea Glen, there's traffic pressure. This is on the R559. This is Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. While in Sandton, you can expect about a 20-minute delay. M1 North from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Patlu interchange. Also Midrand, traffic sluggish. N1 northbound between Ellendale and Samrand. And finally in Boksburg, roadwork slowing down traffic on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car on the way to the hospital carrying an elderly couple, playfully bantering about who their first grandchild will look like. Not your business. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's bringing two generations together. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. EWN Business.
28 past 4. Let's find out what's been happening on the markets. Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon.
Afternoon to you, John. Quite a busy sort of corporate day in South Africa. Lots of business news around. Oil prices, I'm afraid, despite me taking a whole day off from the money show, are still over $100 a barrel at the moment. The ore share, though, looking positive, up 0.47% on the day, 117,105 points. Financials up 0.34%, industrials up 0.11%, and resources up 1.25%. astonishing things going on. So there was a capital markets day today for Mr. Price. So the management are obviously asked about their purchase of NKD, which is the Central European retailer. They strongly defended the purchase. The result is their share price is down 4%. So I believe the phrase piece of lead or stone went down like a brick. That's what I'm looking for. Pretty much that happened today. The other news is that SPAR confirming it's going to let some workers go. It's starting a voluntary severance program. It says it's aligning its cost base with current trading conditions. SPAR had huge problems implementing their SAP system. They had problems in KZN. Their CEO resigned unexpectedly 2 months ago. The net result of all of that is that their share price is actually slightly up on the day so far. Maybe it's seen as a positive sign by shareholders. Difficult to know. The education group, Stadio, their students still increasing. They're up 8% on the year. The earnings per share up by 25%. They won 56,000 students by the end of the year. Libstar reporting it's able to increase its market share in the dairy and wet condiments and dry condiments category. Their headline earnings up nearly 22% in the year to the end of December. And Woolies buying one of their major suppliers into Food Holdings. They provide convenience foods to Woolies. Woolworths saying that their management team will stay in place. Elferman, they're up 6.47. Optasia results out yesterday, up nearly 6.5%. Harmony Gold up 5%. Sasol up 3.58%. And then the platinum mine is also very strong, up by around 3.5% today. Tungela down 2.3%. Italtal down 1.2%. And then DRD Gold are down 1%. And ShopRite actually down 0.88%. I should mention, by the way, Roger Jardine, you may remember, chaired this company for a while. Going to be the new chair at Old Mutual. He takes over from Trevor Manuel. Old Mutual reporting their headline earnings up by 2%. They say that their Old Mutual Insure and Wealth Management units performed very strongly. In the US, things have started off quite well, actually. Financial stocks are doing nicely. Investors obviously worried about energy costs. The Federal Reserve has a big meeting this week. Inflation issues around energy will be a big part of that. The Dow Jones up 0.59, the Nasdaq up 0.64, the S&P 500 up 0.65. The gold price $5,017.97 an ounce. Platinum $2,152.70. Brent crude $101.85. And the rand to the dollar stronger than it was earlier, 16.65, 19.19 to the euro, and to the British pound 22.22. Stephen Crotis, EWN Business.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Coming up now for 29 minutes to 5. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news. And Bali Dlamini, that TRC-related court case, producing some fiery stuff, I believe.
It is, John. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon. We begin now with some news just in. A major bus strike may be on the cards closer to the Easter break. Bus drivers affiliated to the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union are set to go on strike following yet another deadlock in wage negotiations. SATAW has been stuck in wage talks with various organizations at the South African Road Passenger Bargaining Council. The union was demanding a 2-year wage agreement with a 6.5% wage increment across the board for the second year. But the companies say they can only collectively offer a 3.5% wage increase. SATAW spokesperson Amanda Chamese says this calls for a strike, which will likely take place closer to the Easter weekend.
A certificate of non-resolution has been issued. There's a cooling off period. After that, we will give the employer a 48-hour notice that every bus driver who is a member of SATAW will be on strike until they meet our demands. That includes 6.5% wage increment in the first year and 7.5% in the second year of this agreement.
To that court case now, the High Court in Johannesburg has heard that Judge Sisi Gampepe is being unfairly attacked during an application to remove her as chairperson of the TRC Cases Inquiry. Advocate Tembeka Ncukai-Dobi, who represents the commission, says Gampepe should be protected against insults and personal cost orders. The court has been hearing an application to remove Gampepe as chair of the TRC Inquiry, which is probing delays in the prosecution of apartheid-era crimes. Former Presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma approached the court seeking to compel her to remove herself after she declined a request for recusal. Dimakatsa Lishoro reports.
On the first day of the court battle, the full bench of the South Gauteng High Court heard arguments from senior counsel representing former President Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. They want Judge Khampepe to be removed as chair because they claim she did not make full disclosures about her short stint at the NPA in the late 90s. Similarly, President Ramaphosa's lawyers told the court her refusal to recuse herself has brought the commission into disrepute and could undermine public trust in the commission's work. In response, Advocate Tembeka Ncukaitobi for the commission says Judge Khampepe should be protected.
She has been accused of criminal conduct without a shred of evidence. She has absolutely no one to protect her. Let's be serious. She really has no one to protect her, including the very president who appointed her.
Ncukaitobi says the review application is an abuse of court process. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, South Gauteng High Court.
Cape Taxi Association, Codeta, believes the recent killing of one of its members is linked to the ongoing conflict within the industry. A 50-year-old man and a woman were shot and killed near the Palm taxi rank last night. Police say the victims were travelling in a private car when they were ambushed by gunmen. This marks the second deadly shooting at a taxi rank in Delft in less than a week. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Last Thursday, two people affiliated with rival taxi associations Carter and Codeta were killed at the Voorbrug taxi rank in Delft. Police believe both attacks may be linked to tensions in the taxi industry. Codeta chairperson Neba Enge says the organization is deeply saddened by the loss.
We also think that this is taxi related, much as we don't have evidence of that at the moment.
Enge has called for calm as police continue their investigations. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News in Delft.
And in Nigeria, police say normality has been restored to areas affected by multiple explosions that have been blamed on Boko Haram militants. At least 23 people were killed in the coordinated attacks, which also left more than 100 people injured. The three blasts, which struck last night, came after an attack on a military post on Sunday, which authorities blamed on suspected jihadists. Fighters from Boko Haram and the rival jihadist group Islamic State West Africa Province have recently stepped up attacks in northeastern Nigeria. Just last month, the U.S. began deploying 200 troops to Nigeria to provide technical and training support to the country's soldiers in fighting jihadist groups. A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 24 and 28.
Report accident seen on the N1 northbound just after Albertina Sisulu, causing about a 30-minute delay from the N17. There's also about a 30-minute delay leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Patlu interchange.
The top story in EWN, bus drivers affiliated to the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union are set to go on strike following yet another deadlock in wage negotiations.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
What is normal retirement before we talk about what early retirement is?
There is no statutory retirement age in South Africa. Normally, if you're employed, your retirement age is governed by your employment contract. The South African government does offer a state old age pension, which is payable when you reach age 65. But that's not retirement age. You can retire at any time that you want to. So if you're older than 55, if you take your pension in the form of a retirement benefit, you can then get the favourable tax treatment that is available in terms of our tax structure.
Natasha Huget-Henry, who is consulting actuary at NMG Benefits.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk. When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The safety and well-being of learners is a shared social responsibility. Parents and guardians play a critical role in ensuring safe, reliable, and lawful scholar transport. Parents are therefore urged to take responsibility for the following. Before entering into any scholar transport arrangement, parents must satisfy themselves that the operator uses vehicles with valid roadworthy certificates and operating licenses, and that the driver holds a valid professional driving permit, PDP. By working together, parents, operators, and authorities can protect learners and build a culture of safety on our roads. Issued by the National Department of Transport.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Stevie, it's Clinton Myers, the Minister of National Treasures.
Mr. Minister, how can Momentum Insure help you?
This economy is not helping with the cost of my gusheshe, my tires, man.
Just get Momentum Insure's safety returns and get up to 30% cash back, even if you claim.
Is it true?
Stru's Bob, Mr. Minister. Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest sports news with Tolakele Mganga. Sundowns in action in the Betway Premiership tonight. Proteas involved in cricket against New Zealand with mixed fortunes. Over to you.
Thanks so much, John. And it was contrasting fortunes for the Proteas in their respective T20 clashes against New Zealand. The men suffered a 68-run loss as Devon Conway top scored with an innings of 60 from 49 balls to level the series at 1-1. For the women, they beat the White Ferns by 18 runs with 5 balls to spare in their second T20 to level their games. Tasman Brits scored 53 off 49 as South Africa posted 177 for 5, while Ayabonga Gaga and Nonkululeko Mlaba took 4 and 3 wickets respectively.
Yeah, I think there is always. I think with the batting, definitely the middle, from the 10th over, I was still in, but then there was like an over where with Divine, I think she's bowling there, we only got 1 run. I think there we're supposed to capitalise, especially that there's only 60 balls left. So I just think maybe that 11 to 15 overs, we can definitely do better.
Mamelodi Sundowns will look to take control of the Betway Premiership title race this evening when they take on Marumo Gallants in the evening's only fixture. The Brazilians are currently a point behind leaders Orlando Pirates with a game in hand and will look to Nuno Santos to lead the charge after winning their last 7 league matches.
I'm enjoying training every day to be better. My teammates also help me a lot. I'm feeling more comfortable now than when I arrive, but it's a process. It's normal. I'm getting used to the culture, to the playing game here, and I'm happy.
The UEFA Champions League last 16 action continues this evening with Chelsea and Manchester City looking to overturn 3-goal deficits in their respective ties against PSG and Real Madrid, while Arsenal are locked at 1-1 in their battle with Bayer Leverkusen. Amid concerns about tired legs at the business end of the season, Mikel Arteta is hoping that his Gunners will be revived by the youthfulness and energy of 16-year-old Max Daumann.
I think it's very inspiring when you see someone almost naive, making decisions and flowing and careless, playing in that manner, in that context, is great. And I think probably our players realized as well. It's a good example, playing with that flow and enthusiasm is actually very beneficial for the team.
And Iran's Football Federation president says the organization is negotiating with FIFA to move their World Cup matches from the United States to Mexico. That's in order to ensure the safety of their players. The discussions are taking place amid the US and Israel strikes on Iran and ahead of their group games against New Zealand, Belgium and Egypt. Last week, USA President Donald Trump said that while Iran are welcome to the World Cup, he doesn't think it's appropriate that they attend for their own life and safety. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now at 18 minutes to 5. Let's get an update on what's happening out there. Starting, I would imagine, Karabo with Rudaput, where we were having problems earlier.
Yeah, so if you're leaving the Soweto area heading towards Fourways, look out for an accident scene in Rudaput. This is on the N1 northbound, just after Albertino Sisulu, now causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way from the N17 in Protea Glen. Soweto expect some delays. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Still in Protea Glen, traffic pressure on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens, while in Sandton heading towards Midrand, expect about a 30-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands all the way to the Patlu interchange in Midrand. Traffic sluggish on the N1 northbound from Allendale Road to Samrand. Driving through Alexandra heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. And finally in Boksburg, traveling towards Brakpan, slow-moving traffic due to roadworks on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Carnival City. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, it's 4:45. Coming up shortly on the show, we're going to talk to Giles Edwards, guest judge on MasterChef. This was episode 4 of season 6, which is being shown on ETV on Sunday evenings. I'll give you some details on rebroadcasts in case you missed this week. But the past week was particularly interesting. Giles Edwards, the guest judge, is someone who believes in nose-to-tail cooking. Yep. Virtually everything on the beast is edible in one way or another. Looking forward to chatting to him. But speaking of food, I was just eating my lunch, as one does, around the middle of the day. And I, as I often do, had some kind of salad. And it involves vegetables chopped up into very small pieces and corn sliced off the cob and various other things. The point of why I'm telling you this and describing the ingredients is I finish every single little thing in my scuffed tin. I literally don't leave an ear of corn. I mean, I just eat. And I've been that person ever since I was a kid. I don't leave anything on the plate. And if I do, if I'm in a restaurant, it's to take it away. And if I'm at home, it's to put it in the fridge for repurposing later. But not everyone's like that. And there are times when I do say to myself, actually, you are full. You really do need to stop. And then I have this little internal battle with myself. So, straightforward question for you, Karabachali. Are you clean the plate guy, or are you, hey, if I'm full, I'm done?
Definitely, I clean my plate because I make sure I dish up just enough.
Well prepared.
Yes, but then my son just annoys me. He never finishes his food.
Yes.
And I always and he always wants, he'll eat and then finish the first plate, and then he'll want seconds. But then he'll only maybe take 2 spoons, and then he says he's done. And I'm like, what was the point of the seconds?
Yes.
And he just has that habit, and it's annoying. But when I visit people, I just try, I don't know if it's a rule. That's how I was taught, that you leave just a little bit on the plate.
Oh, you must leave a little bit.
Leave a little bit. I don't know if that's the general rule.
No, it's not so general that it was ever put to me that I should behave that way. Tolakele, how about you? Clean the plate, leave a bit, bang it in the fridge?
I've gotten to the point with my eating where I eat until I'm full.
Yes.
Even if I do leave whatever I like. But the one thing that I do, I always make sure I start with the meat. I'm sorry. It will not be left behind, not on my watch. So I start with the meat and then I go to the vegetables. And if the rice is left over, well, so sorry for the rice.
So when you were growing up, I mean, the rule in my house, and this is probably at the very least, the kind of bedrock of the way I go about things, although, people are not completely hamstrung by the way they're raised, but we had to eat everything. And there was nothing after if you didn't finish what you had, and there was a hope there might be some dessert. But I always loved gem squash, and I'd always ask for 2. And the reason for that was you eat the gem squash, and then you got the 2 shells. And then I would say something like, oh, is that a spider on the wall? And then I was an expert. I could pack 2 gem squashes in probably 10 seconds. I don't know if there's a Guinness Book of Records category on that. There probably isn't. But if there was, I would be at least a contender to be included in the book. So eating habits, on the one hand, it's a kind of fun question. Do you finish everything on your plate? How are you with the younger people in your lives? But I do also think that meal times are also about emotion and relationships between providers of food and makers of food and consumers of food and so on. So there may be a little story there that you want to share. You can go light and tell a story if you want to go a little deeper on where you get your habits from and how they've shaped you. Well, I'd love to hear that version of it as well. So please do give us a call on that. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes to 5.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books and always some good news too. Appointment listening, every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Mzansi, are you ready to make it rain millions? Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for a jaw-dropping 145 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Play Powerball for 100 million rand and Powerball Plus for 45 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You can become a victim of a legal problem. Wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Rihanna Steyn is the chief executive of the National Financial Ombuds Scheme, whose office has been really overwhelmed by the amount of AI-generated complaints, sometimes running up to 150 pages per complaint.
One matter, it was 97% AI generated. It's not written by a human. And I'm not saying it's all wrong, but it's certainly not all right. Some of the references are wrong to case law. The legislation that they quote is incorrect, and you have to now sift through that.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Trade powers Africa's growth, and businesses that succeed are those able to manage risk, optimize liquidity, and move confidently across markets. Absa Corporate and Investment Banking helps enable your trade flows for growth. Absa is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So a moment ago we were asking if you eat everything on your plate. Well, speaking of eating everything that you might possibly be able to consume from an animal, that was very much the theme front and center on the last episode of MasterChef. Episode 4, Season 6 featured Chef Giles Edwards, who has opened the restaurant in Cape Town called La Tête, and he set a number of challenges for the contestants, and he joins us now on 702 Drive to look back on that and talk more broadly about his philosophies of food. Giles Edwards, welcome. It's great to have you with us on the show.
John, hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you absolutely perfectly. So for people who haven't seen the episode, and by the way, I'll give you rebroadcast details because you really must watch this. It was a really, really great moment. It was a couple of really great moments in television. They had to cook 8 things: kidney, brains, lamb liver, heart, sweetbreads, lamb tail, lamb tongue, and ox liver. This is very much the cooking that you've learned to, first of all, delight people with, but secondly, to love. Tell us where that comes from, because these are politely referred to as lesser known cuts. Some people are just saying wouldn't do them anyway.
Sure, it's an interesting question, John. I grew up with British parents, and my father would always insist that my vegetarian mother, cook sweetbreads and kidneys for him.
Right.
And as kids, it's interesting what you say about eating everything is, that was the day that we would have kiddie supper at 6:00, and we weren't involved in the sweetbreads because, one, he thought it was a luxury, and two, we actually didn't like it.
Yes.
Fast forward 20 years, and I'm in London eating at St. John restaurant, and I have this urge to go and work there. So another 5 years forward, and I'm working in St. John, and I'm cooking these very kind of, unknown cuts to me, and I slowly start to understand the theory, the nose to tail concept of consuming everything. And I don't know, it was through that kind of realization of appreciation for where things come from and the love that the farmers go into making it,
yes,
rearing it, and then knowing how to cook it properly. Then, it was just, after that, it was a no-brainer.
Is it in part a reflection of the way most people buy the meat that they prepare? And that is, it's usually under some kind of cellophane, although not necessarily if you go to a butcher. But in a way, there's almost a dissociation from the animal, from whence the meat comes. So we would assume that a steak is a steak, and it's never in our minds been part of an animal that had a nose and had brains and had kidneys and most definitely had a tail.
Yeah, 100%. I have young children, 9 and 11, and a couple of years ago, my son just couldn't fathom that a steak was part of an animal.
Right.
And when you go to the petting zoo, you see the lamb, but you don't think lamb chop, brain, and trotters. It's quite unusual. So yeah, I definitely think that is an issue for the consumer, and especially in the modern age that we live in, where everything is so neatly presented and so clean and sterile.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Tell us a little bit about the MasterChef interaction and particularly the contestants. I'm sure they were fascinated by what you had to share with them. You did some preparation yourself, talked about how, for example, to cook a lamb's tail, which you then proceeded to eat more like the way people would eat corn on the cob. But first of all, how were they in the beginning and how were they after you were done with them? Their eyes must have been open, but perhaps they were wanting to kind of close them a little in the beginning.
Yeah, I think they were challenged, definitely.
Yes.
I think that if you have never cooked offal and worked with it, it just seems so foreign. There are certain things that need to be done in order to prepare it correctly so that it is, it's edible. It's not that it's not edible. It's just, it's better if you take a membrane off a sweetbread than if you leave it on.
Right.
So they were definitely challenged. I think they were also quite out of their comfort zone. And I found that quite strange, I wonder how many of them have never had a steak and kidney pie. Because it's such a common roadside thing that it's, kind of just shouts out like, here's some ox kidneys, so grab yourself some steak and braise it. So yeah, they were definitely challenged. And overall though, once they got past all the challenges and they physically had to cook the organs, they were fine, because
yes,
an organ, it's just a protein. You've just got to cook it. People struggle to cook chicken on a braai. People struggle to kind of cook all proteins. So it's just a protein that just needs to be cooked to the correct temperature, however that is you might prefer. And then from there on out, it's what you do with it.
In terms of, you mentioned your children, meals at home, are you trying to, I think you mentioned your son saying, is that where a steak comes from? Are you trying to get them to see things a little bit differently? Do you say, okay, 2 ice creams if you're willing to have brains on toast, or you're not into bribery yet?
Gosh, I wish. No, John, I am very much a convenient father.
Yes.
So I would love to. My one son is a complete carnivore, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, where he just wants meat. And then the other one has naturally become very adventurous and is the one who would like to try the curry and try this and try that, and ends up loving all of it pretty much. So yeah, I leave it to them. I was never forced into trying these different things, and I enjoy the journey that took me here, brought me here to where I am.
And let's just go back to MasterChef to round off, Giles. I mean, what did you make of the contestants? I mean, it would be a mixture of people. And are you looking for people who are innovative, or are you looking for people who are expert but perhaps a little bit more conservative? I mean, who's going to make the better chef in the end?
I think the person who's going to make the better chef is the one who sticks to what they know. Innovation's great. Innovation's great, and if you come up with a great idea, it can get you a long way. But you have to know what you're doing before you innovate.
Right.
And I definitely I tried very hard to get this message across: is don't start doing something you don't know until you know what you know.
Yes.
And so innovation was, some of the innovation was great. A lot of it was a challenge because no one knew what they were doing. So I would say a better cook is a cook that understands what they're doing before they try to do something else.
Thanks so much, Giles Edwards, MasterChef guest judge. If you're in Cape Town, his restaurant is called La Tête. And by the way, if you missed Sunday's episode, they are rebroadcast on ETV on Saturdays. That's at 5 o'clock. E-Extra on Saturdays has the episode at 8:30, and E-Reality will give you that on Sundays at 5 o'clock. And of course, an hour later, you can then watch the next episode of MasterChef at 6 p.m. on ETV. It's 5 o'clock.
Zandi Finga's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Let's hear from Susan, owner of Leopard Song Manor, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
We were with our previous insurer for 13 years. Switching made me aware of things that we weren't covered for. It was a quick process. I saved a lot of money.
For boutique hotels, catering companies, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. This is EWN.
Authorities recover one body in Limpopo floodwaters, and Masemola wants Brown Mokhotsi to come forward with proof. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Rescue crews in Limpopo have recovered the body of a man during search operations today as flooding continues to batter parts of that province. The discovery was made in Ngalabani near Musina as emergency teams responded to calls from communities that have been cut off by swollen rivers and damaged infrastructure. Authorities say it's still unclear whether the death is directly linked to the recent flooding. Mongezi Koko reports.
Rescue teams say the body was retrieved earlier today as operations continue in areas impacted by persistent rainfall. Emergency services and divers have been navigating difficult conditions, including flooded roads and damaged bridges, while responding to incidents and assisting communities that have been left isolated. Spokesperson Dibuo Nekumbe.
We got a 34-year-old male without any injury. We took him outside of the river and give him to the local police.
The body has since been handed over to forensic teams for processing and identification. Authorities say an investigation will determine the circumstances surrounding the man's death. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola wants Northwest businessman Brown Mokgotsi to provide proof to his allegations that he received multiple payments from alleged crime kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala. Masemola was responding to allegations levelled against him before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating police corruption. He's also vowed to take the matter up with the relevant authorities in an effort to force Mokgotsi to either retract the claim or provide evidence. Babalondenze reports.
Brown Mokgotsi, who has already given evidence before both the committee and Madlanga Commission, accused Fani Masemola of receiving payments from Vusimuzi Matlala. Masemola and KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi have also been accused of receiving designer bags valued at more than 100,000 rand each. The allegations were put to Masemola again today by evidence leader Norman Arendse.
Mr. Mokgotsi had alleged that you received money from Matlala arising from the tender that was awarded to him.
Masemola denied this.
I'm going to ask Mokgotsi to give. Maybe Mr. Matlala gave him to give me, then he didn't give me the money. But indeed, Honorable Chair, I didn't receive any money from Mr. Matlala, but I saw Mr. Mokgotsi's allegation. I will deal with it at some other forum.
Masemola has also denied plotting with former Minister Bheki Cele to get rid of Minister Senzo Mchunu. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Top cop Fani Nkosi has struggled to explain why he shared confidential police information with controversial businessman Steve Mutsumi. Nkosi, an officer within organised crime at the Gauteng SAPS, has been testifying before the Madlanga Commission today. He has faced a grilling over allegations he was a middleman between suspected crime bosses and senior police officials. Thabiso Koba reports.
Sergeant Fani Nkosi has shared a number of police documents with Steve Mutsumi. This includes fingerprint kits, audits and crime reports. Nkosi was pressed on sharing a letter with Mutsumi that contained the personal details of suspects and witnesses involved in a case of stolen chrome, guns and ammunition at a mine in the Northwest.
So at the time of writing, was this not a confidential subdocument? Not at the time of sharing.
I don't know if we pack it and...
No, General. I'm Sergeant. I don't know how many times you've said that. I'm asking you the question now and I want a response now, please.
But I was never given an opportunity to pack issues. Maybe this time you can give me the opportunity to pack this one.
Nkosi says Mutsumi has an interest in police affairs. That's why he shared some of his documents with him. However, Co-Commissioner Sesi Baloyi called his explanation unsatisfactory. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The South African Road Passenger Bargaining Council says any strike by bus drivers within the next 30 days would be illegal. This after Transport Workers Union SATAWU threatened to go on strike after wage negotiations with bus companies reached yet another deadlock yesterday. SATAWU is demanding a 2-year wage agreement with a 6.5% across-the-board increase in the second year, while bus companies are only offering increases of no more than 3.5%. Alpha Ramushwana has more.
The law requires that there be a 30-day cooling-off period after a wage dispute between a trade union and the employer. During this time, the opposing parties must attempt to resolve their differences through conciliation before taking their concerns to the streets. In this case, the cooling-off period began yesterday and will remain in place until the 15th of next month. Despite this, SATAWU says its bus drivers' strike is likely to take place over the Easter weekend, which is in the first week of April. The South African Road Passenger Bargaining Council's General Secretary, Gary Wilson, has warned that such a strike would be illegal.
The cooling off period has not been, it's not finished. You can't do anything during the cooling off period.
SATAWU says it'll only go back to the negotiating table if it has assurance that its demands will be met. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And the United Nations has called for an investigation into a deadly clinic strike in Kabul. Rescue operations are underway following an airstrike at a drug rehabilitation center, which claimed the lives of more than 400 people. Residents reported loud explosions followed by the sounds of aircrafts and air defense systems. The UN says the incident must be investigated promptly, independently and transparently, with those responsible being held to account. Gold is trading at $5,015.14 an ounce. The rand is at 16.64 to the dollar, 22.21 to the pound, 19.23 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $101.89 a barrel.
Accident seen in Roodepoort on the N1 northbound just after Albertino Sisulu, causing more than a 30-minute delay in both directions. This is between the N17 and Beyers Nodia. In Protea Lane, expect some delays. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Leaving Sandton, heading towards Midrand, expect about a 30-minute delay. M1 northbound from Ethel Auckland to the Butlu interchange.
In your sport, Mamelodi Sundowns aim to top the Betway Premiership table with a win over Marumo Gallants. Pep Guardiola says Manchester City will need the perfect game to overhaul Real Madrid. And Steyn City opens its doors to first live golf event on African soil.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at 25. Pretoria 16 and 28, and Vereeniging 15 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Rescue crews in Limpopo have recovered the body of a man during search operations today as flooding continues to batter parts of that province.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 10 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up over the next half an hour or so, we heard earlier from the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation expressing some of their concerns about a city plan to relocate the Johannesburg Art Gallery's irreplaceable treasures to a number of premises in Johannesburg. One of them is Museum Africa. Another is a building known as the Pink Building. I don't know it. The Joburg Library would get some of the print material, and others would be relocated to the Brixton Multi-Purpose Centre. At the heart of the debate is a plan to spend 23.6 million rand on these preparations for relocation. Now, we heard earlier from JHF, Johannesburg Heritage Foundation head, Mr. Fleminger, but we are going to hear from the city shortly from spokesperson Ntatisi Moringwane to put their point of view. Madlanga Commission underway, the session ending a little bit earlier, answering questions today for the second day in a row. Sergeant Fani Nkosi, who despite his relatively modest rank, and I say that with no disregard to people who have earned the rank of sergeant, merely making the point that most of the officers who have appeared before the commission have held the rank of general. Brigadier, I think, was the case with Julius Mkhwanazi from the EMPD. But Sergeant Nkosi has played a very central role in a lot of the deals and transactions and interactions that the Commission has been exercised with. So what he has to say in particular in response to questions, is of crucial importance. Tabiso Goba joins us for that shortly. Did you eat everything on your plate? Is that something you still do? A few of you had responses to that question I posed a little earlier.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Tate John and team. Eating habits. Look, I'm the guy that cleans the plate up. Because I dish up, I'm like Karabo, I dish up what I need to eat at the time and finish. But what annoys me is that when I visit people, in particular my in-laws, because they believe a man needs to have a full plate and all that, they will dish up quite a lot and I end up not finishing. And that for me, it's painful because I know a pain of going without food, and hence, rather put food aside and then repurpose and eat the following day. Good show as usual. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks. And you raised the question of dishing up. The rule in our house, by the way, is that nobody dishes up for anybody else. Everybody, there might be small children who can't wield the spoons and get the proportions right. But when, people are capable of serving themselves, everybody dishes up exactly what they want, where they want it on the plate. Do they want gravy on everything or only some things? And nobody dishes up for anybody in my house, which maybe addresses your problem. I get that may not suit the kind of philosophy and culture of every household, but that's the way it happens when I sit down in my own home. 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com. The very latest, please, with Karabo Charlie.
So, John, at this stage, we still have that accident scene in Rudaport on the N1 northbound, just after Albertina Sisulu, causing more than a 30-minute delay in both directions between the N17 and Beyers Nordia. So if you're traveling between Fourways and Soweto, avoid the N1 at all costs. There's also slow-moving traffic, Protea Glen. This is on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558, leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand. Expect about a 30-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Patlu interchange. Midrand also traffic sluggish. N1 northbound from Ellendale to Samrand. Driving through Alexandra heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren, and in Boksburg there's slow-moving traffic. This is due to roadworks on the N17 eastbound from Rondebolt to Carnival City. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his client sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Gear up for glorious Grand Slam success with Hollywood Bets. Take your tennis passion to new heights and feel every stroke, rally and match point as the drama unfolds at the Australian Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon and US Open. The biggest stages in tennis have been set as the world's best go head-to-head for ultimate bragging rights. Bet now and make every moment count.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Meet Tato Mahate, CMO of Koitech, proving that South African tech can take on the world. Tato, why was Telkom Business the right call for your team?
Bottom line was connectivity and ensuring that we have the right service provider.
With Telkom Business Fiber, Koitech seamlessly connects local innovations with international manufacturing. Get Stream Connect Fiber from just 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 past 5. Well, let's focus our attention now on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Sergeant Fani Nkosi, in his second day of this particular stint, appearing before the commission. He did appear remotely in an earlier exchange that shifted when he was, at that time, he was known as Witness F, but when his name was used so many times, I think it became clear who it was, and he was in the Bridget Mabandla College of Justice today, as he was yesterday, under a lot of pressure to explain why he was sending to people who were not in the South African Police Service police documents that in one instance included, for example, it was a letter specifically addressed to an individual general, so there was no question of this being for general release, and certainly not for any kind of public sharing, but that document contained details of the complainant, including their address and their phone number, details of a key witness, including their address and their phone number. And yet, certainly for as long as I watched, when pressed, Sergeant Nkosi would not concede that this was a document that should not be shared. Thabiso Goba has been watching this closely, our EWN colleague. And Thabiso, faced with this, did Sergeant Nkosi at any point concede that this was a document that he shouldn't have shared? And if he did he explain why he did it?
Good afternoon, John. No, he didn't concede. In fact, we've come to learn of a term that Sergeant Nkosi likes to use every time he's faced with a difficult question, that can we park this for later? And I'm not sure what this later is referring to, because he's now in his third day of testifying, and I believe tomorrow will be his fourth and last day of testifying. So he hasn't conceded in terms of why he's sharing these information or these documents with these people who are obviously civilians. And I think what the question that we come out with from today's testimony, John, is who exactly is Steve Mutsumi?
Mm-hmm.
Because this man has been mentioned now a number of times. And what we've maybe gleaned from following the Madlanga Commission is that he is very close to these taxi bosses. We know that he's in private security. His public profile says, he's an entrepreneur with a number of business interests. But in terms of why does he have so many links or tentacles with the police?
Yes.
And, as you said, Sergeant Fani Nkosi shared a lot of documents with Mr. Steve Mutsumi. And some of these documents were even, as you explained there, John, there were documents that were not for public consumption. There were documents that had the names and contact details of people that are witnesses or complainants in a mining case where chrome and other and pistols and guns and ammunition was stolen. We do know that from the previous witnesses that Mr. Steve Mutsumi also has interests in some mining businesses. You remember that Suleiman Karim, he also spoke about
Yes.
a chrome mine in the northwest. So, I mean, there is obviously, you remember also that the head of the Hawks, Leseja Senona, he called Mr. Mutsumi a dangerous man who he was afraid to even name at the commission. So the question obviously now is that who is this mysterious man, Mr. Steve Mutsumi, who's obviously, has very large tentacles within the senior officers of SAPS.
Thank you so much, Thabiso Goba, and really, indicating the seriousness of this. This is not an indiscretion, but extremely dangerous, I would have thought, to share details of witnesses and complainants in matters where they could find their lives at risk and, of course, certainly justice compromised. 22 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Let's pick up on this story then. Earlier, we were focusing on the issue of the relocation of the many precious and irreplaceable artworks currently housed at a Johannesburg art gallery that is neither secure nor structurally sound and fit to look after art that is worth, I would have thought, hundreds and hundreds of millions and possibly more. Earlier we spoke to Philip Fleminger, who was joining us from the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation, coming in to give the city's response. We welcome Ntatisi Muringwane, who is Deputy Director for Communications in the city of Johannesburg. Mr. Muringwane, welcome and thanks very much for joining us on 702 Drive. I want to start where I started with Mr. Fleminger. He said that they, a group of people, a consortium, including the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation, private donors and possibly some foundations, had put together a plan where all the material could be relocated safely to Pretoria, and that would have been at no cost to the city. The city turned this down, he says, because you wanted the material to be kept in Johannesburg and not in another place. Can you give us your response to that? What is the city's version of that negotiation?
By some of the processes. The first thing that we want to clarify is that we've been working with Johannesburg Heritage Foundation and the Friends of JAG, and we still want to continue to work with those organizations. For the past 3 years, because they came to the city and said, no, there is this commitment that the private sector is putting forward. And
right.
For the past 3 years, to date, there is no verified commitment of funding from the private sector, these organizations are talking about. So to respond to the agency of the work that needs to be done, the city had to put forward some funds and try to start the ball rolling. Because one, the zone, which is in Pretoria, it's not museum compliant currently. And the city would not, for audit purposes and for governance purposes, would not invest in a facility which is outside of its jurisdiction to make it compliant. That's the first point. The second point is that the relocation of the artwork from the city of Johannesburg to Pretoria would have a huge financial cost.
Can I ask, why would it cost more to take it to Pretoria, 50 kilometers away, than the relocation is going to cost to do so in Joburg? I mean, if they were talking Durban or Cape Town, I would get that, but it's not that much further.
No, there are costs that are related to the kilometers and so forth, because moving art is a specialized function which will require knowledgeable experts in that field. But the second issue, John, is that these artworks are insured by the city of Johannesburg, and the insurance cost would balloon in terms of the premium because of moving them outside the boundary. Because our insurance product is jurisdictional in nature in terms of how it's structured. So it would shoot up the premium for the city to insure the artwork.
Can you share with us those amounts? I mean, you obviously would have costed the transport and costed the insurance excess that you would have been paying. Excess is the wrong word. What was the total cost of those two?
Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't have the numbers in front of me. However, the work that was done is that there would be an additional financial implication. The third issue is the issue of making sure that building in Pretoria is compliant, because there's no money that is coming forward from the private sector. The city would have to do that. And in terms of audit purposes and governance issues, the city would be found wanting because it's investing outside its own jurisdiction in terms of governance model of the city.
Can I be clear about something, Mr. Modungwane? You are painting a picture of Joburg Heritage Foundation and others sitting down to a negotiation but putting absolutely nothing on the table. Have I understood you correctly that in all the conversations, no commitments were made, no numbers were placed before you for consideration? It was merely people sitting there with promises that you felt were hollow?
Yes, they came forward with a proposal plan, project plan, which was putting Johannesburg Heritage Foundation and the Friends of JAG as project managers, with certain companies that are listed there as companies that are committed to funding. However, there was no money, physical money, that was coming forward.
Can you tell me, sorry, I just need to understand, what do you mean by physical money? Do you mean no amount was put there saying, for the sake of argument, South African breweries commits 2 million rand? Is that what you mean by physical money?
Yes, there were no amounts, and the city would rely or would have to rely on their word. And as your guest was saying, these people would want to do inspection in local to be able to put forward their money. Attempts and site visits were arranged for that to happen. However, in terms of written commitment to say these are the amounts that we are going to put forward for this project, there was nothing, even as we speak.
Thank you very much. Ntatisi Mudungwane saying that the offer that the Joburg Heritage Foundation was putting together never materialized in any substantial form. Lots more to explore in this story. We'll keep at it. He is Deputy Director for Communications in the city of Joburg.
EWN Traffic.
At 29 minutes past 5, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 451422 now and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, Ruderpoort, still a problem? Where else?
Yeah, I'm afraid it's an issue if you're leaving Soweto or traveling between Soweto and Four Ways. There's that accident scene on the N1 northbound in Ruderpoort just after Albertino Sisulu, and it's causing more than an hour delay in both directions. This is between the N17 and Beyers Naudé. In the Joburg CBD, bumper-to-bumper traffic, M1 southbound from Killarney Benz to the Crown Interchange, leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand. Also about a 30-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands to the Patlu Interchange. Driving through Alex, expect some delays. Expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. And in Edenville, this is heading into Bedfordview. Traffic heavily backed up on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis Interchange. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when your virtual meeting ends 20 minutes earlier? That's how good it feels to see the Outsurance pointsmen on your route. Less stress in traffic, knowing they are on the roads. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing the traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove, licensed insurer and FSP.
EWN Business.
EWN Business, Stephen Curtis, good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Slightly better day on the JSE. The all share up 0.59%, 117,252 points. Financials up 0.7%, industrials down 0.14%, resources up 1.25%, but Mr. Price down 3.94% after a capital markets day. Their CEO defending the decision for them to buy NKD, the Central European retailer. Investors not liking it. The result of that is that they're down nearly 4% on the day. SPAR losing some jobs. It's going to have a voluntary severance program. Their CEO left a month ago unexpectedly. They had problems implementing their SAP system. We'll talk more about this on the Money Show, as you can imagine. And Stadio, the education group, reporting its students still increasing. They're on track to get 56,000 students by the end of this year. Their headline earnings per share up by 25%. And a strong update from Old Mutual. Their headline headline earnings up by 2%. It says its Old Mutual Insure and Wealth Management units performing strongly. Roger Jardine will take over as chair from Trevor Manuel in June. Tungela down 1.88. The Foschini Group down 2.39. DRD Gold down 1.3. And Clicks and Truworths both in the consumer space both down nearly 1%. Alpha Min up 6.47. Optasia up 6.37. And Sasol benefiting again from high oil prices up 5.37%. We Buy Cars also up 3.7%. And you wouldn't think cars were sort of that hot right now. In the US, we've seen quite a positive start to trading. Now, despite high energy prices, the Dow Jones up 0.4, the Nasdaq up 0.64, the S&P 500 up 0.56. The gold price $5,016.01 an ounce. Platinum $2,146.60. Brent crude $101.14. The rand to the dollar 16.66 to the euro 19.21 to the British pound 22.24. On the Money Show, the CEO at Old Mutual, we talk about how banks are doing during these times. I asked the other day, is anyone defending BEE or is it only the ANC? We got a response, John. We'll hear that response on the Money Show. I'm looking forward to that. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
7:02 drive, 27 minutes to 6. Thanks, Stephen, with us between 6 and 8 with the Money Show. Right now, time for the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Residents of Gumela Village in Limpopo are experiencing extreme difficulty moving around after the bridge connecting them to other communities was completely washed away. The bridge partially collapsed during flooding in the province in January. Community members say the situation has been exacerbated by the persistent heavy downpours in the recent days. Mongezi Koko reports.
Residents say government promised to repair the bridge following the initial floods, but that work has not yet begun. One community member who asked to remain anonymous says the area has effectively been cut off with people unable to cross safely. She claims officials have not returned to the community since a visit by national and provincial leaders in January, which she describes as a public relations exercise.
When the initial bridge collapsed, they promised to rebuild, but nothing. No help, no visits, nothing.
Meanwhile, the South African Weather Service has warned that heavy rainfall could continue across parts of Limpopo until the end of the month. The forecaster has also issued level 2 to level 4 weather warnings for several areas, raising concerns about further flooding. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
A major bus strike may be on the cards close to the Easter weekend. Bus drivers affiliated to the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union are set to go on strike following yet another deadlock in wage negotiations. SATAO has been stuck in wage talks with various organizations at the South African Road Passenger Bargaining Council. The union was demanding a 2-year wage agreement with a 6.5% wage increment across the board for the second year, but the companies say they can only collectively offer a 3.5% wage increase. SATAO spokesperson Amanda Chemese says this calls for a strike which will likely take place close to the Easter weekend.
A certificate of non-resolution has been issued. There's a cooling off period. After that, we will give the employer a 48-hour notice that every bus driver who is a member of SATAO will be on strike until they meet our demands. That includes 6.5% wage increment in the first year and 7.5% in the second year of this agreement.
And in Japan, the Tokyo District Court has rejected a lawsuit challenging the country's restrictions on voluntary sterilization. It's ruled that the country's legal framework does not violate constitutional protections. 5 women brought the landmark lawsuit forward and expressed their discomfort with what they describe as a patriarchal society that pushes women towards motherhood. Under current law, a woman must have multiple children with her health currently at risk or face life-threatening danger from pregnancy in order to qualify for sterilization. The plaintiffs have filed an appeal against the ruling at the Tokyo High Court. A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 24 and 28.
Accident scene in Rudeport on the N1 northbound just after Albertina Sisulu, causing more than an hour in both directions. This is between the N17 and Bears Nodia in the Joburg CBD, heading towards Poisons. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange.
A top story in EWN, residents of Gumela village in Limpopo are experiencing extreme difficulty moving around after the bridge connecting them to other communities was completely washed away.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What is normal retirement before we talk about what early retirement is?
There is no statutory retirement age in South Africa. Normally, if you're employed, your retirement age is governed by your employment contract. The South African government does offer a state old age pension, which is payable when you reach age 65. But that's not retirement age. You can retire at any time that you want to. So if you're older than 55, if you take your pension in the form of a retirement benefit, you can then get the favourable tax treatment that is available in terms of our tax structure.
Natasha Huget-Hinchy, who is consulting actuary at NMG Benefits.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi, are you ready to make it rain millions? Play Powerball and Powerball Plus for a jaw-dropping 145 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could win big. Play Powerball for 100 million rand and Powerball Plus for 45 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app or cell phone banking. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Baba Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir, yes, sir. More than 3 bags full. We think beyond today, tomorrow, more. Look up, look far ahead. We may choose to leave the herd. There's greener grass where fewer care to tread. Baba Black Sheep. Proof of what we do. Better for clients for over 20 years. Courage, we hold the course for you. Baba Black Sheep, if you want more wool, it takes black sheep thinking. Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
The Dis-Chem Better Rewards program is here, and every time you shop and save, you're also giving back. Each time you swipe, not only are you rewarded, but a percentage of your purchase is donated to the Dis-Chem Foundation to support communities in need. So why wait? Sign up to become a Better Rewards member today and support with every swipe. Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey John, the ANC needs funds for campaigning this year. That's why the Joburg municipality is spending 23 million rand that they didn't need to spend if they went with the Heritage Foundation option.
I do not buy this art guy's story, the Joburg Gallery story. I do not buy it. No.
702 Drive, it's 22:06. It's a story we'll continue exploring, but let's right now get the very latest sport.
EWN Sport.
Betway Premiership action tonight. Sundowns defending champions in action. Here's Tola Kele.
Thanks so much, John. And they can return to the familiar position of top of the log with a win over Marumo Gallants. Nuno Santos has discussed the challenge that awaits them, with the Brazilians a point behind leaders Orlando Pirates with a game in hand.
No, nowadays in football there's no easy games. We have to go with the right mentality, with the right intentions, with the right focus to the game. Like that we can have a great game. We will be able to impose our play style, and the most important thing, to get away with the 3 points.
Pep Guardiola has told his Manchester City players they need to put on a flawless performance tonight if they're to stun Real Madrid and advance to the UEFA Champions League quarterfinals. The citizens failed to capitalize on their early dominance in the first game as a Fede Valverde hat-trick secured a 3-0 win for Los Blancos.
We create the first 20 minutes 4 or 5 times in byline for Bernardo was alone in the 6-yard box, and 2-3 crosses, cutbacks that we didn't arrive, and 3 shoots on target, 3 goals. So that is a Champions League. That's why it's so difficult. And the opponents, that's really good. We have to live with that. Of course, we have to take more risk in terms of trying, but even the results is not good in the first half. We have to keep going, carry on, go, and because you never know.
Luis Enrique says there's no room for complacency when you're defending champions, as the PSG look to remain on course to retain the UEFA Champions League title. They face Chelsea in the second leg of their last 16 leg tonight and enjoy a 3-goal advantage after winning the first game 5-2.
As a team and defending champions, it's a real motivation. We try to be focused on the important things. We try to be focused on the details, because details are always important when you play against teams that the same level that you. We are going to try our best. We are looking forward to playing those kind of matches. And yeah, we have an advantage, but we know that advantage could be flow very, very fast, and we try to get focused on that.
And Love Golf will make its debut on the African continent this week as Steyn City plays host to the 5th leg of the season. Phil Mickelson has been confirmed as a participant for the tournament, having missed most of the campaign for personal reasons. EWN Sports' Lennox Wasara has more.
The biggest concentration of major winners have ascended at Steyn City ahead of Liv Golf's inaugural appearance in South Africa. The home crowd, with no doubt, will be backing the Southern Guards GC for success, with the team featuring Louis Oosthuizen, Charles Schwartzel, Brandon Grace and Dean Burmester. A $30 million purse is on the line for the event, with $4 million going to the individual winner. And it's not just golf that will be on display for the next few days, with organizers promising a lifestyle experience for the over 90,000 fans who are expected to attend the 4-day event. Lennox Wasara, Eyewitness News Sport, Steyn City.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes to 6 now. Let's find out what your journey home might be like. EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Roodepoort.
Still an issue, John.
Roodepoort. Did I mention Roodepoort? This is the
whole
third time
afternoon.
now we're talking about Roodepoort. Seems to be quite a problem, though.
Yeah, we're still dealing with that accident scene, John, on the N1 northbound just after Albertino Sisulu, causing about an hour delay in both directions. So this is between the N17 and Beyers Naudé. So if you're traveling between Fourways and Soweto, avoid the N1 at all costs. In the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boyson's, bumper-to-bumper traffic. M1 southbound from Killarney Benz to the Crown interchange. Santon heading towards Midrand, also expect about a 30-minute delay. M1 northbound from Athol Oaklands to the Butlu interchange. Glen Austin Midrand, traffic pressure on Ellendale Road between Old Pretoria Road and Mastiff. Driving through Alex, you can still expect about a 30-minute delay heading towards Germiston. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Bedford View, accident scene. This is heading towards Alex, leaving Germiston. Accident scene N3 northbound before Van Buren, causing huge delays. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car on the way to the hospital, carrying an elderly couple, playfully bantering about who their first grandchild will look like. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's bringing two generations together. Every story is different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, it's 14 minutes to 6. So we've covered all sorts of things on the show today, including Parliament's ad hoc committee looking into corruption and criminality and political interference in the police. And just a few moments back, or about half an hour ago, to be more precise, we spoke about the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry looking into the very same thing. All of this, of course, prompted last July by the press conference and comments made at that press conference. And that was Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Commissioner of Police. By the way, his contract has just been renewed. There was some speculation as to whether this might be put on hold or even put aside. But no, his contract has been renewed, which I think most people think is a good thing. So the question that we want to ask you, though, in advance of the music that we're about to play you, is the job of these commissions is to find out who's telling the truth. And we're talking about telling the truth and truth-telling and grey areas, and then, of course, there are outright lies. So we thought we'd move straight to lies for our music. Jonathan Fairburn, you've got a theme and you've got a song to set us going.
Yeah, afternoon, John, and afternoon to the 702 family. So, I mean, if you had to look at maybe a popular subject that songwriters will write their lyrics to, I'm sure one of the top 10 subjects would be about lies and liars and betrayal.
Indeed.
So today we want our 702 family to come up with their, could be your favorite song about lying or liars, or lies. And just looking here, some of the popular songs about lies. And I'm not going to give the title of the song because that'll give some of the songs away. But some of the songs that have been written. So it says here, plea for a partner to continue lying to protect feelings. A song about being burned by betrayal. A story of a woman cheating in a relationship. Reflecting on the rarity of truth, and on it goes. These are some of the short AI explanations of some of the popular songs written about lies. So to kick us off, we're going to hit you with Rihanna and Eminem, Love the Way You Lie.
Here we go.
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. And right now it's a steel knife in my windpipe. I can't breathe, but I still fight. Well, I can fight as long as the wrong feels right. It's like I'm in flight, high off of love, drunk from my hate. It's like I'm huffing pain. I love her the more I suffer. I suffocate right before I'm about to drown. She resuscitates me. She hates me, and I love it. Wait, where you going? I'm leaving you. No, you ain't come back. We're running right back. Here we go again. It's so insane. When it's going good, it's going great. I'm Superman with the wind in his back. She's Lois Lane, but when it's bad, it's awful. I feel so ashamed. I snap. Who's that dude? I don't even know his name. I laid hands on him. I never stoop so low again. I guess I don't know my own strength.
Love the Way You Lie, Rihanna and Eminem, getting us going on our theme for the day. Songs about lies and liars and lying and betrayal. Give us your very, very best examples of that, please. So 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 10 to 6.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The private sector and these wealthy individuals are poaching members that are highly trained from the SAPS. And obviously because government can't afford the salaries that they are offering to these operators. It's been our biggest concern for years. These private companies, they can ask you to do any other job and it becomes difficult then for you to say no because you are already in. And now we are seeing with Soteni what has happened.
But why do private individuals need this kind of skill?
To protect them. Most of them are working as close protectors for various private companies and for some wealthy individuals as well. They are protecting them.
Brigadier Atlenda Mache.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra wraps up its summer season under the baton of popular conductor Conrad van Alphen, joined by virtuoso Emmanuel Ivanov on piano. The program includes Tchaikovsky's Symphony Pathétique, considered to be his most popular work. Linda Auditorium on Thursday, 19 March at 7:30 p.m. Book your tickets at Quicket to avoid disappointment.
Every hour in South Africa, someone hears the words, "You have blood cancer." For many patients, a stem cell transplant is their only chance at survival. Yet their match could come from a stranger, someone like you. It takes just 3 minutes to register as a stem cell donor. So visit dkmsafrica.org today and give someone the best kind of hope.
The Audi Open House Sales event is here and you're invited. Come test drive a wide range of Audi models, take advantage of exclusive offers, and stand a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Formula One, courtesy of Audi. The Audi Open House Sales event is now on until 30th of April at Audi dealerships nationwide. Book your test drive today at audi.co.za. Terms and conditions apply.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Tim. Lie to Me by Brooke Benton or old local star Jonathan Butler. Lies. Sebonga.
John, clear is night. I said you lie. Wow, that's my song. Well, I love the song, the beat, but the lyrics, no, I don't.
Tell me what's on your mind, but baby don't try to lie, 'cause your lips say this, but your heart does that. Oh, oh. Well, maybe we're just wasting time, trying to pretend we're
I said you lied. Gladys Knight kicking us off with your contributions on songs about lies and lying and liars. David says, one of my favorites has to be Bad Liar by Imagine Dragons.
Hush, my dear, it's been a difficult year, and terrorists don't prey on innocent victims. Trust me, darling, trust me, darling. It's been a loveless year, I'm a man of three fears: integrity, faith, and crocodile tears. Trust me, darling, trust me, darling. So look me in the eyes, tell me what you see. Perfect paradise, tearing at the seams. I wish I could escape, I don't wanna fake. Wish I could erase it, make you happily, but I'm a bad liar.
Imagine Dragons from 2018. Kelvin shares with us two suggestions. Jonathan Butler, Lies. We've had that before. And Johnny Lang, Lie to Me. Songs about lies and lying and liars. Brett in Bryanston, good afternoon.
Yeah, John, how's it? What about some Fleetwood Mac? Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Yeah, and that's a very, very interesting thing. They're saying, lie to me, baby. I suppose if Fleetwood Mac asks, who's going to refuse them? Thank you, Brett. Fleetwood Mac.
Thank you. Cheers.
If I could turn the page in time, then I'd rearrange just a day or two. Close my eyes, but I couldn't find a way. So I'll settle for one day to believe in you. Tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Oh no, you can't.
Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac. It came out in 87 off their 14th album. Boy, did they come up with the goods over and over again. Let's hear more of your thoughts on songs about lies, lying, and liars.
John in 702. One of my favorite songs about lies is by the late, legendary Lucky Dube. It's the name of the song is Stand Alone, and it goes like this. Liar, liar, your pants are on fire. You got a nose as long as a telephone wire. It's by the late Lucky Dube. Yolande from Centurion.
Hey, John, a great music topic. My nomination would be for the ultimate boy band, the UK group called Bros in '88. They had a song called Liar. You're a liar. And then there was obviously Jonathan Butler, our legend. And his song was called Lies. This is Anne in Santon.
That's John. One of my favorite songs in this category would be from Justin Timberlake, Cry Me a River. Thanks, Fred from Benoni.
You were my sun, you were my earth, but you didn't know all the ways I loved you, no. So you took a chance and made other plans, but I bet you didn't think that they would come crashing down, no. You don't have to say what you did, I already know.
Justin Timberlake, Let Tukile, says Michael Bolton. I said I loved you, but I lied. And Sue points us in the direction of Beyonce, and you lied. But we're getting a lot of love for Jonathan Butler for this one, simply called Lies.
About to be ever true. I live up to mine. Tell me, did you? Somebody saw you with your own lover, hand in hand. I don't understand. You said it ended long ago.
Jonathan Butler, co-written with Jolyon Skinner, Lies, a 1987 song that lots of you asked for. I'm John Perlman. Have a great Tuesday from me and the rest of the team. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, proud sponsors of GTR Africa 2026, enabling trade flows for growth. Absa is a registered FSP. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, Roger